welcome everyone to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, a twice-a-week sports podcast that occurs every single Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And every Sunday, we try to shoot for around 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, with today being Easter and the Islanders playing, we're running a little behind. But I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is our NHL analyst and expert, the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame in his game because he is always the same.
The ever-punctual Grumpy Old Man.
The ever-punctual, huh?
I was ready to go.
Well, look at there. A little feather in your cap, huh, Grumpy?
Everyone knows it's because of you when we're late. Everyone.
What can I say, Grump? I try my best. Well, there's been a lot that's happened in the week of sports since our last Thursday podcast. What, Grumpy?
Do we want to let people know, if they like this show, any of that stuff?
Yes, thank you for the reminder. If you like the show, there's a few ways to let us know that you enjoy it. Number one, stick around a while. By that, I mean subscribe on YouTube and leave a like so we know that you've enjoyed the content. Also, again, make sure you subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and follow on Twitter. That's the best way to let us know you enjoy this content and you want to see more. I know we've got the upcoming NFL draft, not this Thursday, but next Thursday, and it should be an absolute blast. I'll tell you that much. I know that's when we originally launched this channel, is last year on the NFL draft, and that was
don't listen to that one.
It was a rough NFL draft, that's for certain. It was a rough one.
This one will be better. This one will definitely be better.
It only takes what? It only takes a few times when you cover the draft for everything to be running smooth as silk. Right?
I was perfect. It was TJ just terrible.
Bullshit. My God. All I caught was complaints from the complaint department, which is the Grumpy Old Man. Oh, Jesus. And did you let me ask you this. Didn't you have like a notepad that you're like flipping through pages on? Holy shit. Oh, man. Anyway, well, if I felt like I was with Mel Kiper over there with a notepad full of notes with Grumpy.
And I felt a guy was with Little Abner over there.
Who's Little Abner?
Just some yokel from the old Little Abner comic strip.
Oh, good gracious.
He's a hillbilly. Backwards hillbilly.
Ooh. Now, I want to talk. We're in some NBA playoff action just starting up here in the last few days, just starting up today, Grump.
Today.
Now, did you happen to see Kyrie Irving flick off the Boston Celtics fans?
This was after he stomped on the Celtics logo the last time he was in Boston. Sounds like he's still a little butthurt from leaving Boston.
I was about to say, I mean, Christ almighty, man. And what I love about this clip the most, too, is you could see, let me go ahead and get rid of the banner here. When you take a close glance at it, Brooklyn's down by 9 points after he sinks the shot, or he's down by 9 points, and after he sinks the shot, right, they're down by, or that's the replay. He's down by 9 points. Look at this. As you can see, the quick blow by. It's not like they're chanting him on or egging him on. It's just like he hits a shot and he says, "Here you go, buddy. F you, Boston."
Okay. Now, we don't know what went on the rest of the game, if somebody was jawing at him earlier, but but as a professional, you just have to ignore that and just go about your business. Are you totally focused on the game if you're worried about what some fan has been saying to you all day? I don't think so. You tell me, TJ.
I was about to say, no, you're not. Again, if you're transfixed and focused on what's going on in the crowd, well, I'm about to say you're not focused on the right items. And again, this is after he was being booed all game long. He flicked him off. He said, I've been being booed by the Boston Celtics. Here's a little middle finger.
Suck it up. Just suck it up. I mean, they're gonna boo you. You used to play there. They're rooting against you now. What do you expect? Oh, we love you. No, come on.
I mean, he had a good game, right? He put up 39 points, 12 for 20, 6 for 10 from three. But he had a good game, but I think to myself, I'm like, oh, man, I guess when you're in the zone like that, I still would never be like, oh, yeah, F you fans. I don't know. I guess everybody's doing like that.
When he wants to play and he's fully dialed in, there's very few players in the league that I'd want over him in a clutch situation. Just one of those guys.
And on top of that, Jason Tatum comes up big to end that game and give the Celtics that win by 1.
Yeah, that really, the Celtics should be the favorite. They're the prohibitive favorites over the Nets, who had to win the playoff game to get into the playoffs. And like I said, prohibitive favorites. You can't lose at home in the first game to the Nets. And the Nets have been not good down the stretch. They got Kyrie, Durant. That's about it. That's about all they have on that team.
Mm-hmm.
Celtics better win this before it gets to Game 7. Game 7, I could see them losing. I really could.
Do you really?
Yeah, big win today. A big win today.
Well, here's the other thing, too, I look at. I think to myself, I'm like, well, I don't know if it's just the superstar studded team where I think to myself, all right, in the big moment, they're going to come up big if need be. But in the NBA, it's one of those where home court advantage is unbelievably important. It's the same thing with, across sports, right? The NHL is the same way. But I mean, I think it's easier to steal a game on the road in the NHL than it is in the NBA.
Yeah. And it's easier to win games at home on the road in the NBA now than it used to be. It used to be, man, you got home court advantage. That series just about over.
Mm-hmm.
It just was, because the really good teams never lost at home.
No.
I remember one year the Celtics went 40-1 at home. Think about that. 40-1.
Christ almighty.
In the regular season. They wound up winning a championship that year.
Well, I mean, that was their dynasty era, correct?
That was during the Larry Bird era. So
they were a dynasty at that time period. No,
they were a dynasty before then. When Red Auerbach was coach and Bill Russell was there, I think they won 9 out of 11 championships. I mean, they were the dominant team.
Alexander saying, "Hey, what's up, guys? How are you both? Doing well, Alexander. Hopefully, you're having a great Easter."
Yes,
absolutely.
Happy Easter to everyone.
I was about to say happy Easter all the way around. That's for certain. And so you've got obviously that happening regarding some NBA action. Something that happened yesterday. Did you happen to see the USFL had their first few games?
Yes, I caught a little bit of one of the games, and I'm like, "Ugh."
What are you ooking about? The quality of the play or the cameras?
The quality of the play.
Well, I want to ask you about, we'll show you more about the quality of the play. Now, this is a new camera angle. This is the camera angle they have at the USFL. And I want to ask your initial thoughts. These are, by the way, it's a camera, it's a drone. So it's supposed to give you like a, hey, I'm right there with the guys type of feel. So I'll let you take a look at it. I want your opinion on this, Grumpy.
So go!
So Grumpy, I want to get your opinion on the drone camera angle.
Okay, can I comment on other things as well?
How empty the stadium is? Is that what you're going to comment on also?
Yes. I mean,
I was going to bring that up afterwards, but I'm like, yeah, I'm seeing a whole lot of empty seats. My God, you get more attendance at a Division III football game than you do at this USFL.
You get more attendance at a WNBA game.
Oh, Grumpy, low blow. I'd say Division III has less attendance than WNBA, but I mean, it's exactly. You know, it'd be like honestly, God, what do you say? There's 400 fans there, if that.
No, there's probably more than that. Remember, the stadium is big, and they're
there's
pretty much
sitting in the bleeds, man.
Yeah,
there's nobody. It's like might as well tarp all that whole section off. You got a few fans here, and when you continue scrolling, right, there's nobody in the corner. There's a few near the 50-yard line. Other than that, that's it. I'd say 400, and that's me assuming there's quite a few fans inside this seated area here inside the nice boxes.
Maybe they're all at concessions. Maybe they're getting concessions.
It's a brand new stadium, so there's a lot to explore inside.
I will say that I think they play all the games at the same stadium. Do they not?
I believe so. I
Yeah. So I mean, it's like so they're playing football all day. So I don't know how it works with tickets or anything like that. Um, I'm going to guarantee they're being subsidized by the NFL or something to
yes,
keep them afloat.
I would agree.
That said, the drone. I don't like the noise of the drone. I
Zzz,
don't
like
like that.
zzz.
I don't like that. But and I didn't like how it started off so low. I would rather have it where it's a little bit higher and closer to the players, behind them, of course, but so you can get kind of a feel of what's going on and the whole play. Here, this particular, I'm like, okay, I can't see anything that's going on beyond right behind the quarterback. Whereas if it's a little bit higher, you get more of a feel like a all 22 film, which I'd be interested in, but closer. That I'd like to see. And I did like how they zoomed behind that guy as he was running. Then you heard him talking smack as he was going into the end zone and everybody celebrating. I did enjoy that. I thought that was novel.
I think that is right. We talk about the good with the bad, and I think across sports, I'm going to bring that up with the MLB, allowing you to hear more of what goes on on the field and amongst players. I think allows you that little extra insight to that as a fan. Right, that intrigues me. That makes me happy. Now, when I see this, and I'll play the first half of it too. Man, oh man, you talk about getting seasick. And I think one thing with these drones too is it's so, I don't know, like with the NFL and all these other leagues, it's so precise with the movements, and it's because it's all on strings, so it looks so smooth everywhere it's going. But with
Well,
this, it's kind of jumping all over the place like that because it's a drone. Now that would takes me a while to get used to. I've never seen anything like that on a football field.
that's what the things on the strings, which makes them appealing, is they're up higher. If
Yeah.
you're up higher, you get more of a better overview of the whole game. Where here, it's like too frenetic, in my opinion. Um, like I said, but I enjoyed it, and part of the reason why we heard the guys yelling is because there was no one in the stands once again
Oh
to
shit.
make any other noise. That if fans are cheering, you're not hearing that unless they got them mic'd up. Maybe they should start micing the players up and just put like a thing at the bottom, you know, adult language or whatever, and just let them go.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Yeah, now see that would be something.
I just want to
I'd
watch
be
it one more time.
interested. I'd be interested in that, honestly. Have everybody mic'd up, all the collisions. You hear all the collisions. I think that would be a novel idea.
Maybe they mic the QB up and then mic certain players up, and I'll tell you one thing, right? Like with the NFL, they mic players up, but you only get to hear certain sections, and they're so discreet when. Because I'd be honest, right? It's a grown man sport. There's some words that fly around there. On this drone shot, you definitely heard some adult language language being thrown out there. So maybe this could be hey, this is the more adult version of football where it's uncensored. But I
Yeah.
just want to watch it one more time here, Grump. And I'll be honest with you, the drone almost looks like it hits and collides with people so many times. When I see this here, I'm like, holy shit, that drone's going to get hit.
If it's a little bit higher, you get a better view of what's going on.
Exactly. Exactly. And if it could give me, because I don't, to be honest with you, I don't need to worry about seeing the tops of the stadium to where I see empty seats. Just a
No,
tiny bit higher, and it focuses on the actual field so I could see what's going on. I think,
honestly, that's the first thing I noticed, that there was nobody there.
yep. I was about to say, you don't want to be advertising that either. So it is cool, though, you feel like you're down there a little bit with the players.
Now, this I liked.
I was about to say, if I'm one of those players, I feel like if I was pissed off and I see somehow it goes past me, I could see me just knocking the piss out of it, or a player who's really upset. And like, let's say that you're in a situation like this, and this isn't a crucial game, a championship game for the USFL. I could see a player batting the hell out of a drone. Could you?
Yeah, if the drone got too close, I'd see them yank their helmet off and crash it. That I'd like to see, and
That's
just have
must
them
see
bash
TV.
the hell out of it. That I'd love to see.
Oh, that's must see TV, man. I'll tell you. But I think it's interesting. I really do. And it's cool being able to hear. I mean, it's also because nobody's there, but it's kind of nice being able to hear everything out there, play after play.
Yeah, interesting. You know what? Here's the thing. If you're a league that's trying to stay alive or just starting up, you have to do things that are a little bit different, don't you?
Unorthodox and unique.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with that. I just wish the drone was a little bit higher. When it's like it looks like it's at knee level, you can't really see what's going on.
And here's something I wanted to bring up also. Being able to speak or to hear players, as they're out there on the field is special. Now, it moves me a little bit to another topic, right? You talk about having to be unique, having to differentiate yourself from others. Now, Ozzy Albedes, now he was mic'd up on Sunday, and it's not necessarily the fact that he was mic'd up that makes it all that special. It's when you hear the back and forth, and it's something I've thought of a while. Like, how could baseball catch on? How could baseball continue to appeal to the younger audience? I think it's so neat that you can have a dialogue with a player, with the announcers during play. I think that is so unbelievably unique and fascinating. And, I know they only do it for, hey, Sunday night and special games. That should be something that's incorporated almost every single game. So, hey, we pass it around from inning to inning. That's how you get to know the players, too. That's how you get to say, all right, I actually know a little bit more of who Mike Trout is. I know who Albert Pujols is. I know these players because I hear them talking one inning a game, and I hear them, the banter they have there with the announcers. I think that is unbelievably crucial there to helping grow the sport.
Okay, what is something we've talked about in Major League Baseball? Everyone's like a cookie cutter, it almost seems like, for the most part.
Yep.
It lets you experience the personalities of these players. And that's a good thing, because guess what? Now you can create new stars, and you have to be able to play, because if you can't play, you're not going to be on the field, right? So it has to be somebody, or players who have some type of personality, and you can push those guys and promote them. Particularly for the home fans.
Let's just say, hey, a guy in Baltimore or a guy in Oakland, right? Not big market teams by any means, or any imagination, but let's say, hey, he's the best player on a crummy team. At least if you have the inside of what he is all the time, it creates funny moments too. It gives you a reason to say, oh my God, that's clickable. Oh, I watched this on social media. Oh man, this guy, John Smith is so funny for the Oakland Athletics. You know what I mean? It just gives you something different, and allows you to think it have more appeal. But I'll let you listen to this little exchange. And again, you're right. It would kind of break a little bit of what I feel is a lot of these players, and you do also, that they're kind of like, cookie cutter. They're all very similar.
When the microphone was offered to you by Kike Hernandez, how did you find out about it?
I was eating dinner, and my phone started blowing up. Teammates and Tomas, my VP controller here with Grace, he called me. He's like, "Hey, you're nominated to have the microphone next week. You know that?" I said, "No, I don't know about anything." And then after that, I look at my phone and I realized the video was going around. So.
Right.
That's when I realized, okay, I have a microphone, so I'm going to go and have fun with it, with you guys.
And you had Votto talking to you during game one, so you at least kind of knew what it was about.
Yes. When he asked me about this diamonds and all that stuff.
That's right.
I hope he gets it, though.
And again, over innings and innings, and as players become more comfortable and they have different relationships with their announcing crew, I think that would allow for a whole different dynamic to the game. And I know that may say, like, oh, that's kind of boring. That was a little dry. But I'm just saying, the longer you have these players exposed to that, the more it becomes like, oh, yeah, it's not such a big thing, right? Because this obviously was a big thing that he's going to be mic'd up. I'm saying that's something they need to utilize more and they need to take advantage of. You couldn't do that in football. Everybody's gasping for breath at all times. You can't do that you can't do that on the NHL. Again, when you're out there, when you get done with the shift, you're gasping for breath on the bench. Baseball is not a sport where you're going gasping for breath at all times.
Well, see, I'd like to see not just talking to announcers, but talking to players, particularly if you're an infield guy, talking to guys who are on base or something like that. Or if you're an outfielder, talking with fans and stuff like that, because fans are yelling junk down at them.
Oh,
yeah. But it has to be somebody who's got a sense of humor about themselves, somebody who doesn't take himself too serious. And you know what else they could do? They could be, particularly like an infielder like that, kind of like instructional. Yeah, you see, this is how I'm getting ready, kids, between pitches and stuff like that. That's how you bring young kids in, where it can kind of be instructional while they're playing.
Or they ask them questions as it's going on like that. And again, it doesn't have to be like, hey, any philosophical questions, but something where it's just like, hey, and I'll be honest with you, when you're getting answers like that from the players as they're on the field, they're going to be, it's not like they're going to be, as guarded and as, oh, I'm so measured with everything I say. They're focused on the game, right? They're going to say exactly what comes to their mind, because that's, hey, it's just a natural action. I'm paying attention to what's going on here on the field.
Yeah. And, if you can, they'll maybe ask a question like, oh, hey, we have a question from 10-year-old Johnny Smith from Seattle, Washington. What do you do before the day of a game? And then, just something he could do that in between pitches because there's a lot of time in between pitches.
Yep.
And something like that. But they'd have to be quick questions. They'd have to get them at ahead of time. Maybe they ask the question and say, thanks to Johnny Matadots, whatever. But I mean, that seriously, if you get kids interested in the players
Yep.
at a young age, all of a sudden they're more interested in the product. I think it's a good step, honestly. I wish I would have thought of it and patented it. I didn't. So my loss.
But yeah, I mean, like we talk about it, right? Hey, we were thinking and brainstorming what are ways they can make the MLB more popular and more mainstream, or not more mainstream, but more of like, hey, it's back to a household sport that everybody likes and enjoys to watch. I think taking those steps are meaningful and they could help that.
I do want to say that it's still the second most popular sport by a lot over the NBA.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, is it just because there's so many more games, or is that like average viewership per game, or is it because there's like a million more games?
It's popularity among people. What are your favorite sports?
Oh,
Football, number one. Football, then baseball, and then basketball and hockey's an afterthought.
I've got to thank Alexander for this. Now, this is another one of these angles from the drones. Now, this is it's odd, the entire drone. Oh, well, here's a game too, right? This seems like there's a lot more fans in the stands here. So it looks like it's at the same exact stadium. This must have been maybe a later on game, and maybe the other one was like a morning game. So perhaps they sell the tickets like March Madness tickets, to where you buy tickets for the day and you get to see all the games. You can come as early or as late as you'd like.
Yeah, maybe.
See anything different on that back end? So Nick Rose.
So far, it's pretty vanilla. So
Kicked a couple of seasons in the NFL for Washington and the Chargers.
No. Don't like that one.
That's why I said some of these angles, because I'd seen it, and thanks, Alexander, for that one.
But here's the thing. It's okay. They're trying something.
Yeah.
And, they look at, okay, that one doesn't work. Something like that. It doesn't work. But some of them do. And if they tweak it a little bit, I see potential in that. I really do. I really do. And once again, talking to players on the sideline, particularly in the USFL. You're not going to get that in the NFL.
It's
but in
not
the USFL,
you're more getting in for the people.
Right.
That's how you appeal. It's not necessarily the product. It's not going to be a superior product. Everybody says, "Oh man, this is must watch TV because these two people are so beautiful at their craft. These two teams are." No, it's going to be, I like the people and I like the individuals.
And live mic the coaches.
Oh man,
I think that's great. Number one, and number two, because if they know they're mic'd, they're probably not going to be throwing F-bombs around. This is not the Super Bowl. You have a lot of big names. Bob Stoops is coaching there, and I think Jeff Fisher, and there are other guys that are very familiar with me. But maybe mic them up too, and just let them go crazy a little bit. Nothing wrong with that, and then they could just play it at any time.
Alexander saying, did you see what Pat Beverly said after they won the play-in game?
I did not.
I'll have to pull that up. Give us a second there, Alexander. I know you tagged us in. Mateo N says, "Hey, Grump, looking fine as always, Grumpy."
Thank you, Mateo. Matteo.
What the hell, Matteo?
Matteo.
And did you see the field? Yeah, it was tough. And guys, give it time. The USFL will start to gain fans.
If they're smart, they can, because football is just so huge. Now, that said, the level of play has been bad.
It's look at it like this. It's before the NFL draft. So all the players who don't make the teams in the NFL draft, and all the guys who don't make, who would go to rookie camp and don't find itself a spot, and like all these new crop of young players that are still vying for a position, vying for a chance, they're not there yet. And that's one of those things always when you play earlier on in the season, right? Because the CFL starts later on. So, right, if you're looking for a CFL contract, in all likelihood, I'm not playing in the USFL just quite yet. And so you look at all the leagues that they're competing with right now, right? The NFL, all the people that fail out or don't have a chance to stick, those aren't available yet. And the CFL players are people who are locking up contracts or going to camp, right? They're preparing for that. And so they can't even dip into that pool. So don't expect a great quality of product out there on the field just yet.
Yeah, I just look at quarterback play, and they showed one guy who was the star of the game, and I'm like, oh my God, not good.
Well, think about it though. I mean, you look at the last one. Was it the XFL? PJ Walker came from the XFL, and he did. I think he did a great job in the XFL, and he played. I thought he did a decent job for the Carolina Panthers this last year. He is what to be expected, but a guy who could find himself a spot in the NFL roster
As a backup. Okay. So not somebody you watch. Okay.
He started for them a few
He
games.
sucked. Okay. They only did
Not
because
saying
they
he
were
was-
abysmal. They were abysmal at quarterback.
Here's Pat Beverly.
Pat, what did you what's up, Pat?
What's up, baby?
What did you say to your old teammates at the end there when you were standing in front of the bench?
Take their ass home. Long flight to LA. Take y'all ass home. You know, it's deeper that for me. You understand? I gave my blood and sweat and tears to that organization. I mean, you guys know the story, especially you. Blood, sweat, and tears to just be written off like that. You know, he's injury prone. He's old. This, that. To be able to come here, play them in a play-in, beat their ass. No other feeling, man. No other feeling.
Well, there you go, grumpy old man.
I know he got fined, a huge fine for that.
Did he really?
Mhm. They don't want you cursing.
I understand
Post-game
a fine,
interviews.
a huge fine. I don't know.
50,000, something like that.
Oh, geez,
I
let
mean,
them
it's
say what they
nothing to a
want.
guy. You know what? But Kurt, saying that aside, you got to know you got to know where you are. I'm sorry.
We talk
could've
about
used
wanting
butt.
to hear these. We talk about wanting to hear these individuals, and learn who they are. But
But you could have said the word "but," right? You could have said that.
take their ass home. Ass is a bad word.
Take
Come
your
on.
butt home. You could have just said that.
Oh, stop.
Okay, but here's the
my
thing.
God, the
Here's the
morality.
thing.
would be
They
so-
have certain rules that you have to follow. You're trying to appeal. You don't want to turn anybody off in these interviews. And here's the thing. I'm behind him because as an older player who people said that, he couldn't do it anymore and he beat the team that got rid of him. Good for you. I'm rooting for you. He just needs to be a little bit, and as an older player, he needs to be a little smarter too. He just could use the word "but." I'm just saying he got fined. That's all I'm saying.
He
I'm
should
not-
have said, "Oh, golly willikers! I can't believe that they shunned me out so quick like that. Those buttholes over there, take their butts home.
See,
Like,
that's
just
where-
stop.
That's
Just
where
stop.
that's
That's
what
so
you-
absurd."
that's where you millennials are just stupid. Sorry,
Oh
it's
my
just
God.
dumb.
I used to have a coach said something like that, and he he lost the respect of the team. You can't say stuff like that. Be a human. Don't pretend to be so unbelievable.
Okay, when you go on and you're doing an interview, it's different.
Take
It's
their asses
different when you're
home.
doing an interview. It is.
Okay. Gotcha. And I'm sure he went ahead and already covered up a little bit about what actually happened because I don't think he just said take your asses home. I'm sure it was a little bit more than what he said on that. So, I've got no issue with what he said. Alexander says, no, they play in different stadiums there, and it's going to be good for the NFL because they could take certain parts of this and they can input it into the NFL game.
And I think that's what the NFL is using it for.
Tony Case is saying, what did I miss? Sorry, boys. I'm an hour behind my usual time here in Wisconsin. Grump. Oof.
What a vacation. Maybe he's learning how to make cheese.
And wow, TJ butchered his name. How usual. Ozzy Albedes, correct?
I don't. It's Albies. I think his last
you know
name.
what?
And here's the thing. I'll tell you what. You absolutely butchered his first name. You didn't say Ozzy the first time. I didn't know who you were talking about. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, gosh, is that Ozzy
I
Albies?
said Oz.
I don't know what you said the first time. You TJ'd it. That's what you did.
What can I say? I used to go to Roy Rodgers before the Islander games and Mets games. Roy Rodgers,
Roy
actually.
Rodgers, man. They had the best roast beef sandwiches.
Drew L saying here the NBA playoffs have been pretty exciting so far.
Yeah, for day one. Yeah.
You're not kidding. Absolutely. And Pat Beverly only had 7 points. Well, hey, he's not a guy who's going to be, at this stage in his career, putting up, 30 points, 25 points a night or anything like that. He's just not that guy.
He's there for leadership and
Not
stuff
that
like
guy.
that. Just some minutes. Good
Mm-mm.
for him. I like to see the old guys do well.
Is that because you can kind of go ahead and relate to him, Grump?
Yeah. Well, when the guy's at the end, it's nice to see him get a little bit of love. I have no problem with it. Yeah, he wanted to win. He just wants to win.
Thanks to Legend Senior Citizen says, Grumpy old man, happy 90th birthday, Grump.
I hope to make it to 90.
Oh, man. And they got criticized for celebrating a play-in game by the inside of the NBA, inside the crew. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, hey, get excited for what you can, but act like you've been there. It's always, finding a healthy median. I want to talk a little bit about something you had brought up on our other podcast, the Islanders Never Say That podcast, Grumpy. You had talked a little bit about robotic umps, and you said that, oh man, they really blew those calls down the stretch between the Yankees and the Orioles based off of the, who was umping. And now this, right, you got the umpire scorecards. I think I'm going to go ahead and follow them for future, but they break down who it is who's umping the game, what the final result was, the overall accuracy of the balls and strikes, and overall consistency, and then the league average and who it favored, and the impactful missed calls. They break them down bit by bit. So you're able to see, hey, how often he was. Go ahead, Grump.
This guy is all over the freaking map with the missed calls. He's not just missing on one side of the plate. He's missing on both sides of the plate. High, low, inside, outside. That's not good.
A 1-2 count with the top of the ninth. A clear ball was called a strike. And what is look at this. The called strike accuracy. Oh, my God. 68%.
Not good.
Holy shit. 18 of the 56 called strikes were true balls. Oh, my God. And like you see, and I love it, too, because you get all the people who start tagging and jumping even more in depth. But I think there was the highlight here, Grumpy.
Join the Blue Jays. And curveball misses there. That was a pretty good pitch as well. Now you can see
in the first inning, like you look at these calls, it's the one thing that always pisses the hell off of me about the MLB is just how the umpire and what he's going to call as balls and strikes will completely dictate the outcome of the game. It's so subjective at times.
Well, and what does it do? If you're, it depends on how you're calling the game, right? If you're calling a whole bunch of pitches that are off the plate strikes, it means that hitters have to.
Holy shit! I'm sorry. Good, Grump.
Yeah, but hitters have to expand their zone. Right? I mean, that ball's a good 4 inches outside.
I just like how the first one is like literally on the plate, within the plate, and then later on in the second inning, and it's a similar spot. It's outside, it's low and outside, or it's low and off the plate. But I'm like, that's significantly further outside the range, and he's calling that a strike. And the consistency, that's the shit that blows my mind, is the lack of consistency.
Yeah, I don't understand how you ever miss a ball that's not over the plate, because that's not up and down, which could be a little bit of a judgment. It has to be over the plate.
It's not like the catcher's doing such a fantastic job. Hey, he framed away 6 inches off the plate on that one. It's just one of those things where I think to myself, I'm like, you had talked about how you wanted to have some sort of like robotic umping. Is that correct, Grump?
Well, I want to see it done at the minor league level, not just like the Atlantic League. I want to see it done in actual Major League Farms teams, just to see what it is. There's nothing wrong with trying it out and seeing how it works. You can have an umpire back there also who's, calling it, but then you see how it correlates with what the machine is doing. I think that would be a good way to do it and say, okay, is it something that we can do? Is it something we can't do? The whole thing is put the ball over the plate, make the guy swing. Like I said, almost 1/3 of every single at bat is either a strikeout, a walk, or a home run. You need to get more balls in play. You need to make it where guys are swinging at pitches, because the balls, I mean, to me, it's not even the inside outside. It's the up and down. I mean, it's supposed to be from knees to the letters, which is, right across your chest. In MLB, it's above the knees or right at the knees to the belt. And that's unacceptable.
Yeah, well, and again, you're right. People want to see more balls in plays, but a little bit of it has to be on the players though too, and the batters always looking to swing for home runs, always looking, and the analytics, right? Oh, spin rate, this, that, and the other thing. Shit, has it really made the game better? Has it made it more enjoyable? I'd say no.
No, it's not
So
enjoyable.
right, again, maybe it's like, oh, we go ahead and focus on spin rate and exit velocity based off of the bat. We're able to go ahead and deviate, or we're able to go ahead and result in 2 more home runs and 4 extra base hits over the entire season. I couldn't imagine it has a huge drastic impact, and I think it kind of sucks a little bit of the life out of the game. We talk about things that they bring to the table, and like the broadcast crews bring to the table. Look at the exit velocity, this hit. Oh, I'm like, okay, cool.
I don't mind that.
It's not something that tickles my fancy. I like that in a home run contest, or when a ball goes, 480 feet. I like that. But other than that, I'm like, okay, fantastic. Thanks. I don't need to see that on a pop fly.
If you watch the games, who hits the ball hard and who doesn't.
Yes.
But I have no problem with them putting the numbers up there. Even, exit velocity on, a hot smash to third base. That tells you how quick the reaction time is of the third baseman or something like that. I have no problem with that. I really don't. But I want to see them expand the strike zone where it was originally supposed to be, over the plate from knees to the chest, not knees to the belt, not just above the knee to the belt. And then here's the thing. Guys are going to have to swing more. They're going to have to put the ball in play more. They can't just go for home runs.
Another thing that I think that needs to be instituted, and I think for the most part, it's common practice, but I know in times in the past it hasn't been. Every single broadcast should always have the strike zone. Every single one. I don't they only pop up, and some telecasts will only pop up when it's a suggestive pitch or a pitch that's way off the plate, and they'll say, oh, well, that fits our narrative. No, that should always be up there every single game, because as a fan, right, I want to be like, am I crazy? Did I just see that ball was called a strike? And having that little extra reassurance, I'm like, okay, no, I'm not insane. That's a bad call. You know what I mean? So it's not, it's not like, oh, okay, the catcher did a hell of a job framing it. And okay, they just go right along, business as usual. And we're not over here actually keeping track of what the actual barometer is of called strikes and, balls, etc.
Yeah. I agree.
Drew L. Go ahead, Grump.
I agree.
Drew L saying, Grumpy man, did you just say you like seeing old guys do well? You sound like Barry Trotz.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I want a whole team full of them. I like to see them do well. Like a guy like that who's, a benchy, you know what? Good for him. Here's the thing. 3 weeks from now, I won't even remember his name. But I'm glad he got to say, he was happy he beat that team who didn't think he was good enough anymore. Good. But here's the thing. I don't want Pat Beverly playing for the Islanders until he's 46 years old. I don't want that.
Oh, goodness. Alexander saying, oh, my God, Kyle Palmieri just got leveled. Oh, Jesus. We'll try to see if we can pull that hit up. And then Alexander saying, yeah, those analytics are nuts regarding the umpires. And it wasn't something they've really started to take into account even since like the 2015s, 2016s. But now it's even more prevalent than it had.
Why are they doing it? Why are they doing it? So they can bring in the robotic umpires. That's why they're doing it. Then they're easing their way into it.
It's not like the MLB is doing that. It's just concerned and upset fans who feel like they got gypped and screwed out of the game because of an umpire just was shit. So they're like, well, holy crap. I feel like we lost that game because umpire XYZ screwed up. How can we go ahead and keep a rolling log of him and a rolling log of umpire performances?
You have to remember, if you're like a lot of those, is it a left-hander throwing and he slings it sidearm? Because remember, if it hits the front corner of the plate, no matter where it goes, it's still a strike. Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the whole thing. And as a lefty, that's what you want to do. You want to kind of, if you're throwing to a lefty, you want it to hit the outside corner of the plate as the ball's breaking away. It's almost impossible to hit. That's what you want. So like I said, I don't know who's doing that or things like that, but it'll be interesting. Times they are changing.
Times they are changing.
They are changing.
Oh my gosh, I tell you for certain they are. And Drew L saying here also, did you both hear about the woman who chained herself to the bucket to the net there in the Timberwolves game?
Yes, I did.
I read about it, but I didn't actually see it.
She was complaining about something, I don't know, she's an ecologist or who the hell knows, complaining about something that the previous owner of the team had done. He doesn't even own the team anymore. So it makes what she did even more stupid, honestly.
Oh my God. Oh, hold on. She was complaining about what the previous owner, so somebody who hasn't owned the team for how many years, did in the
I don't know
past.
when they sold it. I don't know when they sold it, but this person is no longer the owner of the team, and she did something. It looked like maybe she was ill, and they just dragged her off the floor. Get out.
Holy shit. What in the hell is going on here? That
It's
is
ridiculous.
Talk about clown world. Okay, right. I'm not saying you should chain yourself. I've seen fans do that where they chain themselves or like they'll zip tie themselves to like the soccer post in a football game overseas. I'm like, okay. You want to make sure your safety is not at risk too if you zip tie yourself a little too tight. And I think to myself, I'm like, is there no better way that you feel like you can get your message across? It's like when somebody streaks and like, oh yeah, we want to do this, or like when they're, I'm like, that's not the best way to get your message across. I don't think, at least.
Just stop it. Just stop it. Grow up. Grow up.
And which game was it again? A Timberwolves game.
Yeah, Minnesota Timberwolves. And like I said, I don't really remember what it was. I don't remember what it was. But it was so dumb. I remember I mean, I heard what it was, but I'm like, what? Get a life. Get a life, tree hugger. That's all I have to say.
Oh, you don't. Oh, Jesus Christ, Grumpy. Make one of those comments. You don't even freaking know what happened, Grumpy. You make one of those comments. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm trying to even.
It was something. It was, one of those people, that get a job, bum.
Hey, she glues herself to the court. I'm trying to see.
Yeah, that's right. Glued herself to the court. That's what tried to glue herself to the court. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
I want to see if the woman who glued herself to the court at the Clippers Timberwolves game wore a shirt that said Glenn Taylor roasts animals alive, and she was referring to an egg farm at that he had recently killed chickens because of the bird flu outbreak that had been happening.
Okay, that sounds like it's being like something you should do. Like I said, just typical, right? I mean, let's say you owned an egg farm and you didn't want all your birds to catch a disease.
Or you had a certain section of them you killed off because you thought you had them exposed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grow up.
Here's the thing. I'd rather them not infect people with the avian flu and humans die. So, here's the thing. I'd rather them not be like, it's one of those where it gets out and let's say you're passing around contaminated food. Number one, it's not good for him as a businessman. And it's not good for people who have a chance of possibly dying because of that or catching the avian flu.
Again, it's someone who doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. Just has no clue. You know what the penalty should be? They should line her up, tie her up to a post, and everyone should just throw eggs at her. As many until their arms fall off.
I knew you were going to say that shit. I knew you were going to say what the punishment should be is they should tie her to a post. I knew you were about to throw or try to somehow incorporate eggs because you wanted to protect them. You wanted to throw eggs at them.
Absolutely.
I ate eggs this morning for breakfast. They were delicious.
Hit her
But
right
I
in the
want to
head
watch
with an
it.
egg.
I want to watch this little clip here because I didn't have a chance to watch the actual clip. I read a headline somewhere, and again, there's so much sports news that I kind of was like, okay, I'll remember to check back and follow back up on this, but I really didn't.
And there was some idiotic group that says, like a terrorist group, we claim, responsibility for that. Good. How about we throw your ass in jail and bombard you with eggs?
Oh, stop. Let's see here.
Somebody has fallen. A arena worker has fallen at the other end, and you can see right now. I'm not sure if she fainted or fell, but they are assisting her.
I was about to say that wasn't anywhere near as bad as I thought. Here's the thing: that's nowhere near as bad as items I've seen in the past.
I say it's an arena worker. It may have been somebody else because they quickly got her up and got her off in a hurry.
Did she? If she fell, is there blood down there?
Chicken blood.
Oh, okay. I think we've been told there was a protest, and I think she was writing something on the floor.
So she was writing something on the floor. My God.
Maybe blew herself to the floor.
I've seen so many Reggie Miller Wendy's commercials. I don't know what I'm going to do if I see one more. Probably writing.
Can we ask about a little bit about her means and methods? How much time how quickly does she think glue sticks to the floor? I mean, like, they're going to be able to wipe that shit up. I mean, it's not like has she never done like a school project when she was a kid, or never used the household supply called glue? It's not like when you lay glue on it, you stick it to it. It's like in an instant cement.
All I got to say is she probably eats eggs and chicken sandwiches every day. And she's complaining about her food supply. You know how you talk to her? Maybe that's something she could understand.
Oh my gosh.
Like I said, they should have just egged her to death.
Glenn
Hey,
Taylor.
Hey, look here. This looks like Johnny. Bam! Hit him. Whack her right in the head with an egg.
Hold on. Well, Glenn Taylor still owns, does he not? He still owns a team?
No, he sold the team. The guy had sold the team. Doesn't even own the team anymore.
Oh, well, fair enough. Yeah, it just makes it even more baffling then. Okay. Yeah, on April 10th of 2021, he announced that he sold the team. The new owners, so technically he's still the owner, but the new owner takes effect of the team in 2023. So technically he's still the owner of the team. But he has sold it.
Drag that wacko. Just get that wacko. Just kick her out in the streets. Probably where she came from anyway.
So whatever it was, she is gone. And
you guys going, who's that freaking wacko?
Well, she's like, well, they're like, damn it. We're trying to develop a little bit of momentum here. We're trying to do XYZ before the half ends, or before, the halftime. And here they are getting the timeout. They're getting an extended break. And maybe we had them on the ropes.
Feedy or whatever she was doing.
It's expensive to go to an NBA playoff or a play-in tournament game too. It's not like those tickets are cheap, and especially if she was able to rush her way on the court, it's not like she was sitting up in the bleeds.
She was probably slithered into a job as a game day employee.
Oh no!
What a loser!
Anyway, so I don't think we're going to see any more about it, but yeah, okay, that's great. I tell you, that is something else. Also, different news: Stephon Gilmore signed a 2-year contract with the Indianapolis Colts. Grump.
Good for him. He's not the player he was, but he's still very good. I think that's a good move by the Colts.
I think that's a great move for the Colts. I mean, you talk about the Colts defense, and the Colts defense is stout. I mean, they've got a really, really strong defense. No freaking doubt about it.
And I think $11 million is guaranteed of that deal. So that's going to be first-year money is going to be guaranteed. And it's probably, in essence, a 1-year deal with maybe a restructure if he plays well this season. He's 31 years old. So
here's the thing. I think he is still more than competent. He'll earn the money on that deal. It's not a huge deal.
No, not compared to some of the money that some other guys are getting. He was defensive MVP in 2017. That's not too long ago.
He's spectacular. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I still think he's one of the top, you put him top 20 corner in the league. He's still number one corner across most teams in the NFL. I have no problem at all with that deal.
The curse that he has that's afflicting him as well as Tyrann Mathieu is that they're in their 30s. Guys don't want to take chances. They do not want to take chances on guys in their 30s. Why? Because you don't get better the older you get. That's why.
What? You don't get better when you get older with age, Grumpy, when you're like 30?
Not as an athlete. Not as an athlete, you don't.
Oh my goodness, Grump. I didn't know that. Oh, wow. Well, there it is. Well, so we got that, obviously, that happened. We're going to talk a little NFL draft. Got a few comments to jump through because there are some risers and fallers in this year's NFL draft, and I expect that the fireworks and the bonanza isn't over just quite yet. But we got it here. Apparently it was from her. And then Woodha Films saying, good evening. What's up, Woodha Films? How are you? And she probably tried to use Gorilla Glue, and it didn't even stick. I was about to say, Gorilla Glue takes a while, too, to dry. You've got to put pressure on those items, and it's got to be able to stick for, it's got to be able to, have at least, 20 minutes to stick. And even then, right, then just get some adhesive to remove you.
Think about all the gorillas that were sacrificed to make that glue for her. She cares about somebody making a chicken sandwich, but she doesn't care about gorillas.
Oh, there it is.
I guarantee you that. I guarantee you.
Shoved in a bottle of Gorilla Glue, Grumpy. Probably 15 or 20, right?
Yeah, that's what they jam those gorillas in there. You know how they do it.
Gorillas, shockingly enough, they shrink up, and once you use their extract and their glands there, they go really small. So every single bottle of Gorilla Glue has about 10 or 15 gorillas in it.
I bet she eats hamburgers, and it's just those people are just. I'm sorry, they're clueless.
Alexander says, "LOL Grump, just whack her with an egg, and that will teach her."
Yeah. It's just poetic justice. Yeah, you got a problem with the chicken? Bam! There's one that ain't gonna make it. Bam! Hit it with another one.
Oh man, what in God's name is this? Alexander sent me something. It looks like to be one of those funny videos to where they're where they're like a whole group of friends have determined that they're going to dress up. Oh my God, look at this. Can you see the screen? Let me try.
Mighty small.
Give me a sec. God damn it. Give me a second. Let me try to. Let me share this here. I apologize, Grump. I thought it was going to expand first. I know. Womp womp. Sorry, guys. But here we go.
Make it bigger.
Should I make it smaller, Grumpy? Can I make it smaller for you?
Not if you want people to actually look at it.
They dressed up as the 1995 Seattle Mariners.
Oh, good for them. There's nothing wrong with that.
I was about to say a whole bunch of friends probably went to the game. They're probably all big Seattle fans. And look at this. I mean, even like with the bald caps and the jerseys. Oh man, that's spectacular.
I think that's great.
I was about to say it brings a little bit. I mean, like, your kids, or if you're around that, you'll never forget about that type of memory.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Gotta love it. Thanks for sending that in there, Alexander. And then we got here. Drew says, speaking of Gorilla Glue, my mom somehow was foolish enough the glue a Swiffer to a shower wall. I'm not sure how you do that.
Well,
I don't know how you got a Swiffer with glue on it. I don't know. Those seem like two different actions.
I don't know. I cannot explain it.
So, but let's talk a little bit about this year's upcoming NFL draft, because we will be covering the draft live on that Thursday, and we'll be doing that. Now, it seems like the Jags are pretty much penciled in to select Aiden Hutchinson first overall, right?
You know what?
That seems to be the reports. I don't
Maybe
like.
I'm wrong. I just don't think he's that good.
I think he's okay. We talked about it in the big games. Is like, yeah, okay. Yeah, kind of a little neutralized. When you're selecting first overall, right, there has to be someone that's the clear-cut favorite. I know that the Jags apparently want to try to trade down if they can, but that's one of the unfortunate items when there's no clear number one. You really don't have a lot of value trying to trade that pick away.
True.
But it seems
I've seen him play a couple of times, and I'm like,
we did live streams during those Michigan games a few times, during the game against Ohio State, during the
Georgia
playoffs. We covered a lot of the games with Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of his. I'm just not. I don't know. And maybe he'll turn out to be really good. Maybe he will. But I was underwhelmed. Yeah, he made a couple of plays, but it seems like you can block him with one guy.
Well, and again, not what you want as a first overall pick, but I guess he's going to be cemented in, is what it looks like if they're unable to trade. The Detroit Lions, now this one I think was the shock. Kayvon Thibodeau apparently is not a culture fit for Dan Campbell, saying that one executive said that his personality is a lot, and another executive saying here that you hear the head coach, Dan Campbell, is not a fan of Kayvon Thibodeau. So Kayvon Thibodeau had been penciled in going into this year, right? He was the number one guy on Mel Kiper's draft board going into this season. And you look at it too, right? Even at the end of the year, he was still tentatively penciled in as the first guy off the board. And, since we've had the NFL Combine, and he did well on the Combine, since we've had the Combine, since they've had interviews, this is a guy that apparently might slip all the way down to 7 or 8. They said, oh, well, maybe the Giants might pick him with their second pick. And you think Kayvon Thibodeau might slip that far. You would go, wow. You talk about a deal of a draft. Those are the players you try to identify.
Yeah, but why? Because he did everything great athletically. It's his interviews. He's a me guy. And he's not and I told you he was a guy who was going to drop. You thought he's
he's spectacular. He moves well. He's a hell of a player.
You know what?
That's something I can't tell you.
If you're trouble in the locker room, if you complain when you're trying to get coached up, those guys are not going to make it. I'm telling you, the kid
Yeah.
needs an attitude adjustment. And Dan Campbell, nope, he's not a fit. I guarantee Detroit's not drafting him.
Tell me that wouldn't be another colossal blunder. Like if Detroit skips over him.
I have no problem at all with him.
Let's
I
say
don't want a guy.
Are you going to let me finish the scenario and then you
Well,
can go
you
on with what
interrupted
you
me
want to
while
say?
I was trying to say something. Go right ahead.
No, Grumpy. I was saying, couldn't you imagine? You said, I don't want a guy. I'm just saying, couldn't you imagine the Detroit Lions pass up over him and he has a storied career and they look back and say, oh, just one of the many draft mistakes we've had, because they've made multiple mistakes in the NFL draft year after year.
The greater thing is probably what's going to happen is he's going to bust out because he's not coachable. That's probably the best thing. That's probably the higher. Here's the thing. When you have multiple organizations, he didn't like how the Giants interviewed him. Boy, they were asking me all these questions. I'm just the best there is out there. Yeah. Guess what?
That's not what he said. Jesus Christ. I hate when you oversimplify
Guess
stuff.
what? The Giants aren't going to draft him either.
Oh,
the Giants won't draft him either.
You're absurd.
I'm telling you. He's a guy who could slip out of the top 10.
I'd chomp at the bit over a guy like that. If he slipped to the Giants' first pick and Evan Neal wasn't on the board, I'd take that selection. People are saying, "Oh no, Cross has got to be." I'm looking at this year's and what they're projecting. I'm kind of left baffled. And again, this year's draft, right? It's tough to say that you have, what the crystal ball is. Last year, we did really well regarding the first 15 or 17 picks that what we had projected when we had done the draft. This year is a lot tougher regarding who you're going to pencil in to be picked at what spots. I mean, they're saying that the early suggestion maybe that they kind of go a little off the board, the Lions do, and they pick Trayvon Walker from Georgia. And Walker is a good player, but second overall.
Yeah, I don't think he's second overall material, but you want somebody that you feel fits your program. I remember when Lawrence Phillips, running back out of Nebraska, was the consensus number one talent in the draft, and he went 6th to Los Angeles. Why? Because his interviews were terrible with teams, just terrible. He got into trouble when he was at the University of Nebraska, and he's dead now. He wound up murdering somebody, put in jail, and got killed in jail. So these things happen. I mean, like I said, you're talking about investing millions of dollars in these young players over how many years? If you don't think that you're going to get a return on your investment, they're just not going to make it. And this is without the Wonderlic test, because that
the Wonderlic test does not freaking matter. My God, how many times do we have to go over that?
Well, you can say that, but if you're too dumb to learn a playbook.
Patrick Peterson had one of the lowest scores ever on a Wonderlic test, and he's an unbelievable player. It's dumb. It's a stupid barometer. And here's the thing. Some players are just like, I don't give a shit. I'm not taking the damn test. Some players, hey, you know what? They should, you'd like to, maybe quarterbacks are the only one I care about on the Wonderlic test, but that's it. I don't care about anybody else on a Wonderlic test, because guess what? How quick you can run, and for running back, right? I don't give a shit. I mean, how can you read the whole? It has nothing with how quickly you can add up equations and do common sense like questions. I mean, the Wonderlic test is not difficult. It's just like a common sense. It's like a common sense quiz. I don't need my running back to be able to say, "Oh, fantastic, he's well schooled and knowledgeable." I need you to be able to find a hole. I need you to be able to catch the football. I need you to be able to block. I need you to be able to go ahead and hit with impetus. And there's certain things I need you to do. Being able to take the Wonderlic test is not one of them.
Okay. So let's say you own a team, or you're a talent evaluator.
Sure.
And you ask a guy to take a test and he just says, "I'm not taking it." Do you think that colors your judgment of that player?
I don't care. Why do I need him to take the test?
Because maybe it's something that your organization has deemed as important to get the right player.
If I'm the owner, you said if I'm the owner, it's not something I value. Sorry, that's not something I value.
Okay.
Maybe a quarterback. That's the only position I'm looking for to do something like that, right? Because you've got to read and distinguish and read defenses. I understand that, right? I want to see how quickly you can think on your feet. It's a time test. You don't get much time to go ahead and do it. And, it's not a perfect barometer of, hey, if you take a good Wonderlic test, you're going to be fantastic out there in the league. It's not apples to apples.
Okay. His own coaching staff didn't give him the warm and fuzzies.
I don't care.
He takes, these are guys who've worked with him for how many years? 3 years. He doesn't play with a motor all the time. That's a red flag. I don't care what you say. That's one thing the Hutchinson kid does. I don't think he's as talented as Thibodeau, but he brings it, whatever he's got, every single play. Thibodeau doesn't do that. Is that what you want to draft? You want to give somebody, $5, $6, $7 million a year who doesn't bring it every play?
I'm gonna let you know something. He was playing on a hurt foot all year long. And here's the other thing, right? Oh, it's really easy for them. What positions do they always conveniently pop up where the player doesn't have the motor? Defensive end and outside linebacker. You want to know the reason why? It's because they're guys who are out there every freaking play. They're guys who don't get subbed out most times. And on big, long drives, right? It's not like you're a corner or a safety or a Mike linebacker. You're getting hit every single time. They're running the football at you. D tackles get subbed in and out, but the star player doesn't get subbed in and out. They used to have the same exact issues with Jadeveon Clowney. Whoa, Jadeveon Clowney doesn't put forward much effort on every single play. How'd that pan out for him?
I don't know. His career he's been a bust. As a number 1 draft pick, he's been a bust.
You're nuts. Okay,
Absolutely.
so I'm gonna mark Hayden Hutchinson as an absolute bust then too, because he'll never be able to replicate what Jadeveon Clowney's done. Clowney's a hell of a player. And if it wasn't for the microfracture surgery he had on his knee, he'd be an unbelievable talent.
But here's the thing.
He's smoking.
I'm telling you what, he was a guy who had splash plays in college.
Oh,
That's what he had. Splash plays in college. He's not been really good. He's had games where he's been really good. He's been inconsistent. That's why he hasn't been able to get a contract the last 3-4 years. He's had to wait till training camp because he thinks he's worth more than he really is. To me, he's been a bust.
oh my God. A 28-year-old kid who had microfracture surgery earlier on in his year is considered a bust.
What was his best year? How many sacks did he have? Because you get paid on sacks. That's his job. 8 sacks?
9.5. 27.
9.5. What about the other years? Because he's been in the
9.5, 9, 6, 9. He's had a few with 9+. All I'm going to say is this: All-Pro. He was an All-Pro defensive end.
He was never an All-Pro. He might have been Pro Bowl. He was not All-Pro.
He was an All-Pro, second-team All-Pro in 2016.
Okay, so he wasn't All-Pro. All-Pro was first. There is no second. You're an All-Pro. You're number 1. He's not that. Never been that.
When I see AP listed as 2, that means you're second-team All-Pro player. But hey, do what you want with that.
Thought DB Cooper was defensive back Cooper.
You're so sad and pathetic. Anytime you know you're wrong like that, you try to divert somewhere else.
Here's the thing: he was never an All-Pro. All-Pro is one team is All-Pro. One team.
Well, here we go. Let's just go down this. I really don't like doing this, Grump, but here it is, right? AP2, and you go the 2016 NFL All-Pros, and we start scrolling down the list. They have more than one right end as that, right? Defensive ends. Khalil Mack was the first team All-Pro, and then Jadeveon Clowney was second.
Well,
Brandon Graham was third. Cliff Averill.
So
he was All-Pro.
Yeah, here's the thing. To me, it's first team. It's first team.
God almighty.
So, I mean, Brady's only been All-Pro 3 times in his career. I guarantee if you look it up, he's been, All-Pro 2 how many years?
Okay, that's still
it doesn't count. You're either All-Pro or you're not. It's one player for each position.
He's been a bust. Yeah, just double down on that.
I think for a first-round pick, he has been a bust.
First overall pick is what you mean. But yeah, I disagree. So we'll agree to disagree. You're wrong on that, but that's fine. Evan Neal projected to go to the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans maybe Evan Neal's been a big riser. I mean, he's an unbelievable player. He's always going to be one of those guys who's a cornerstone offensive tackle, one of those top 5 picks. But Evan Neal looking to go to the Houston Texans, possibly. Grump. That's the early indicator, at least.
That's a good pick for them, right? You want to protect your quarterback, offensive line. It's imperative you have a good offensive line. They need a quarterback, but maybe they see something in Davis Mills. He wasn't a bum last year. He wasn't great, but maybe that's something they can build on. Or if you're looking for a quarterback down the line, this is a poor quarterback draft this year.
Yes,
so maybe next year they're going to be picking probably in the top 5 again. Maybe they can get a quarterback next year. But if you have the offensive line around him, it makes it an easier transition for him, without a doubt.
Akeem Ekwonu is projected to go 4th overall. He's the next. I mean, that's a guy who's a big freaking riser.
Well, are the Jets going to go for him or not? See,
that's through, right? Hey, they're going to pick an offensive tackle, maybe him or Cross, and possibly they're looking at, that's who they're looking for.
I think the Giants are desperately looking for offensive linemen, but the Jets signed quite a few in free agency. So maybe they don't feel the need to pick one that high unless it's one guy or the other. Maybe if it's Neal or maybe the kid from NC State who you just mentioned, whoever, if they're still on the board when they pick, maybe they jump at them. Otherwise, maybe they go with the other positions in need. Believe me, the Jets need a lot of things.
Well, they look at Akeem, right? They say, okay, he had a great. I mean, you look at the combine results, right? A sub 540, a 29.5 inch or 29-inch vertical jump. The 3-cone drill was good. 20-yard shuttle was a 4.73. He moved well. So he's been a guy who's been a big riser late on. I mean, like I saw rumors that he might last. I mean, this is before the draft or before the combine, that he was a guy that's looking to be going around the teens. And this is a guy now that seems to be, inching his way forward into a top 10, possibly top 5 pick. You talk about one of those guys who are risers. I mean, hey, I'm seeing reports that he could be going as early as number 4. And then you tell somebody that a month, 2 months ago, they'd call you nuts.
Well, I think he's been rated higher than that.
Cross has always been the consensus number 2 guy. That's on the list.
Cross has not been. Cross has been the consensus number 3. Remember, I've been studying this longer than you.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Neal was 1. The kid from NC State was 2, and they were thinking the kid from NC State could be the first one. And Cross was number 3. Cross has moved up from teens to top 10. It's almost guaranteed as a top 10. I think he's a little light in the butt, to be honest with you, to be that high in the draft. I think he needs to get a little bit bigger and stronger in the lower body.
And Malik Willis seems to be the guy as the first quarterback off the board. We talk about again, and I still stick with this, right? I still think Kenny Pickett finds a way in the top 10. Still do.
I mean, to me, why is the Willis? Now, here's the thing. I think right now Pickett is a better quarterback than Willis. I think that Willis has a higher ceiling, but is he ever going to get there? He played for Liberty. Okay. He was a backup to Jarrett Stidham at Auburn. And I don't know. I don't even think he was that great at Liberty when he played. I mean,
no, he wasn't. His numbers were always mediocre. The Liberty's a D1 AA school, not knocking the D1 AA schools, but still, it's not a high level of competition you play. And here's the other thing: I just love how meticulous it is with the draft. Right? They say, "Oh, well, hold on a second. Kenny Pickett has small hands, and these should be the smallest hands of any quarterback, any starting quarterback in the NFL since Mike Vick. And because he's got small hands, he won't be great. That's why he wears the gloves. Have you ever noticed rain, sleet, or snow? He wears gloves so he gets that extra grip when he's throwing the football. I kind of think to myself, I'm like, that's one where I think teams over or under look at regarding the draft, and they say, okay, the guy's got small hands, so we're not going to pick him. Oh, the offensive tackle, he's got small arms, or he's got scarecrow arms. He's so small like that. Okay, he's got short arms, right? And you just kind of think to yourself, I'm like, okay, you're getting a little bit too much into the weeds. It's okay to look at, but it shouldn't dictate to say, oh, guy who is going to be right before the combine, hey, we figured out how he's only got 32-inch fingers or anything like that. This is a guy who was consensus top 10 pick. And now that he's that, I've seen reports that he might not even go until the 20s. And you just can he pick it? He might slip all the way down to 20. They said, oh, this has got the feel of an Aaron Rodgers coming up. There's not a lot of hype and enthusiasm behind him as a prospect just quite right now. And he's got all the makings of a guy who could slip in the draft. That's what I was reading.
For me, I think hand size does matter for a quarterback. I do. It's not the be all end all, but I think it does matter to have a bigger hand. You can grip the ball better, tougher to knock out of your hand. In the cold weather, you're able to grip it better. I mean, even with the gloves.
He played in Pittsburgh.
Okay. But the season was over in November. I mean, I'm just saying, I know you love Kenny Pickett. I'm just telling you that I think that hand size does matter for an NFL quarterback. I do. I think that arm length for an offensive lineman who's a tackle does matter in the NFL.
It does. I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying 20 picks worth. I don't know. If you're saying, hey, I've seen offensive tackles drop down the board because they're guards even and say, oh, well, he's got small arms, or we don't like this, or we don't like that about him. And he drops just plummets off the board because of one little area that they say, ooh, this is a guy who we had up there, as a possible team pick. But now that we don't like XYZ on him, right? We put him as a late first round or an early second round pick because of this little area that we find a little issue with. I'm just saying sometimes they get a little bit too much, into the weeds, in my opinion. Oh, Lesean McCoy. He was a guy who fell off the board originally. Lesean McCoy was supposed to be a first-round pick as a running back, and he fell until the second round because, sometimes Lesean McCoy, he doesn't fight for those tough yards. When it gets close like that, he'll sometimes step out of bounds instead of taking a big hit and fight for 2 extra yards. Lesean McCoy worked his way into being a Hall of Fame caliber running back, right? And so I'm just like, sometimes when you get in this period, they get lost a little bit. They don't see the forest for the trees when you talk about the drafts. That's why teams make mistakes.
Okay. It's a poor quarterback draft. Just is.
It is.
It is. So,
That's
I mean, Kenny Pickett is not the be-all, end-all.
I think he's quarterback in a poor quarterback draft.
I think he's the best quarterback in a weak quarterback draft.
Correct.
He shouldn't go in the top 10 because no quarterback should go in the top 10 this year. Maybe they will go.
They always get overdrafted. They will pick Willis. I promise you, Willis will be one of those guys who's off the top. They're going to see the projections. They're going to say, oh, Malik Willis, we've fallen in love. He's so mobile. He's XYZ.
Okay. That doesn't mean he's going to pan out. Okay. Just because they're overdrafted doesn't mean it's the best pick. It's because teams are desperate for quarterbacks because it's a quarterback-driven league.
Yes.
Okay. That doesn't mean that they're worthy of being drafted there at all. It doesn't mean they're going to be a success. Daniel Jones, right? He was like maybe 50. He was a second-round pick. The Giants felt that he was, he was worth of being the 7th pick in the draft. That was a mistake. I said it on draft night. That was a mistake. And have I been proven right? Yes. They reached on a guy who's just not that good. Why? Because he had certain physical attributes. He played for freaking Duke. Okay? That's all I know. He played for Duke, not really, a bastion, a cradle of NFL quarterbacks.
Well, when you think of it too, right? You see this across the board. There are quarterbacks. It happens with QBs all the time. Paxton Lynch finds a way to move himself early up the board, a guy who should be a second-round pick. You look at the Christian Ponders who find a way to inch their way up there. I mean, the list goes on and on of quarterbacks that get overdrafted. More quarterbacks get resoundingly overdrafted than than slip in the NFL draft. It's just how it works. I mean, when I think about a quarterback who slipped in the draft, the last one I think of is Aaron Rodgers. I can't think of a quarterback, a quarterback that had a meaningful quarterback that had slipped significantly in the draft.
Brett Favre when he was drafted.
Well, I mean, look how few and far between they are. We think Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. That Brett Favre, what was he drafted? 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, well, Tom Brady went in the 6th round.
Okay, a little different. It wasn't like Tom Brady. They're projecting to be a first-round pick. I'm just saying you don't see.
He was projected to be like a 2nd-round pick, and he slipped to the 6th round. I mean, whatever. Like I said, but he didn't look great on tape. He couldn't run at all. That's why they drop in the draft. That's just the way it is. That's how you can get a diamond in the rough, because you really don't know what's in a guy's heart or his leadership. All they need to do is watch games for certain players and see who can play and who can't.
I think when you're regarding the combine, right, unless a guy I'm talking about an atrocious combine across the board. I'm talking about has to be miserable, unbelievably slow, unbelievably weak, unbelievably unexplosive. You have to you're going down the list. Just like, oh, every single one of these barometers we like to look at, they're below what we had thought they were. I know he puts together some good film. That's a guy who drops. And a guy who has to be, oh, this is a tweener. This is a guy we like some what we see on film. We see moments here and there, but he tests off the chart. That's a guy I'm willing to take a gamble on. But I feel like that the combine is always overanalyzed to shit. It is. It just is. So anyway, moving along though, Grump, I expect there will be a lot of moving and shaking here regarding what projections are for picks leading up for the next. I mean, we're 11 days until the NFL draft. I mean, it happens next Thursday, draft day. Not this Thursday, but the Thursday after, Grumpy.
Yes. I'm excited. I love the draft. I love the team building aspect every year. It's my favorite time of the year.
April 28th.
Yep.
Man, oh man. Gotta love it. Got a comment here. What a film saying here. Had to watch the Canadian coverage tonight. They did a little piece on Croc and called him one of the hottest scorers in the league. You would have gone through the roof, Grumpy.
Where is he in the league scoring? I'm just wondering. Is he top 10? No, he's not.
And Drew L says, it seems like no one is a fan of Thibodeau. Also, the Colts are going 11-6. Don't sleep on Matt Ryan.
I agree with that.
I think Matt Ryan's finished.
I do not think Matt Ryan is finished. I think with that offense that they have there, he's going to be more than sufficient. Phillip Rivers was finished when he went. Carson Wentz was finished. Matt Ryan can still throw the ball. He still can. it wouldn't surprise me at all if they go 11-6. A lot of teams are sour on Thibodeau. Absolutely, because he was a poor interview. All of his interviews were poor. They matter for the same reason you say a guy with smaller hand size drops. Guys who have bad attitudes or me guys, they drop too. Warren Sapp dropped.
Laramie Tunsil dropped because a video surfaced of him smoking weed. Ooh. I'll tell you one thing. Laramie Tunsil, I know the trade that the Houston Texans made to the Miami Dolphins was a miserable trade, but Laramie Tunsil is a hell of an offensive lineman.
He's a good offensive lineman. He's not great.
He's a really good offensive lineman.
Really? He was okay with Miami, and he hasn't been really that great with Houston. How has it helped them?
He's okay.
He's okay. I'm not saying he's poor, but you know what? He was supposed to, if they didn't have that video of him smoking the pot through the mask, he was supposed to be like a top 3 or 4 pick.
And he went down to 13.
Well, that's what happens because they don't know if they can trust you.
Because he smoked weed. They don't know if he can trust
Businesses are investing millions and millions of dollars in these guys. They want to know they have a good person who they can trust to make some money. That's just business.
Laramie Tunsil Laramie Tunsil got hurt last year, and other than that, every single year has been unbelievable Pro Football Focus grade. He's a guy who's he's played much better than you think, Grumpy.
All I see is him getting walked around. I've seen that a lot. I've seen him get walked around quite a bit. I'm not saying he's a poor player, but he's no Pro Bowler even. He's just not.
Yeah. Okay, Grumpy. Again,
maybe too much. Maybe he's wearing too many pot smoking masks in his off time. Maybe he smokes the pot before he goes out there, like some basketball players we talked about.
Yeah. Well, he's been a Pro Bowl before this last year when he got injured. Both years in Houston, he'd been there. He'd been Pro Bowl until getting injured this year. So again, guy's 27 years old. When you're talking about, he hasn't really played. Okay, tackles in the NFL. I've seen guys like the Peters last until they're 37. So, when you're 27, 28 years old, he's entering the prime of his career.
He's been okay. To me, he's been an okay offensive tackle. He's not great.
So if by the end of things, if he's got 7 or 8 Pro Bowls, that's
7 or 8 Pro Bowls. 7 or 8 Pro Bowls. I guarantee you, he doesn't have 7 or 8 Pro Bowls. He's got 2. He's already in the prime of his career now. He's got 2. You think he's going to have 7 or 8?
He's a guy who's every single year when healthy, he's a Pro Bowl caliber offensive tackle. Simple as that.
He's probably the guy who gets called when all the other Pro Bowlers back out.
Oh, there you go. Alexander says here, we don't pick until the 3rd round. So it's all next season here is supposed to be a much better draft class.
True.
And he said he committed suicide in prison.
Lawrence Phillips, that's right, he did. He committed suicide, yeah.
I hate the NFL says, but let's be honest, Kayvon's the best player in this draft. It's a draft class where I don't think there's a clear number one. I think Thibodeau talent-wise is I like Evan Neal. If I'm saying who's the best talent out there, I'd say Neal. I don't think much. Hutchinson is a guy who you look at when players are drafted first overall and you say, ooh, that could be one that, when you look back through the storybook and you say he didn't really pan out as a number 1 overall pick. I think Hutchinson bleeds that all over the place. I think Thibodeau has a chance, if we're picking a guy to bust out, maybe he's a guy who might have issues, just everything we said. I still think he's an unbelievable talent. I like what I see on the field. I like the way he moves. I like how quick he is. There's a lot of things I like about his game. Yeah. But to a certain point, it does matter, when how coachable you are. I haven't seen any issues with him being coachable. And again, people overread into comments. I really do believe that people overread. Oh, well, one executive said that they weren't necessarily going to bat for him every which way. And they said X, Y, Z. They could really extrapolate a lot of bullshit from a small statement. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Here's the thing. When they talk, the coaches always pump up their players. They always do.
I'm going to be honest because they don't want to get the rep of a guy who's lying about his players' performance or their players because
Urban Meyer did the Bill Belichick all the time when he had guys in Florida and guys at Ohio State. These coaches pump up their players. Why? They want to know that you're pumping them up when you're sending pros. That's how they recruit them. Oh, look at this guy. He's a first-round draft pick. They always pump up their guys. There's no benefit to them not doing it.
Well, got a comment here from Drew also saying the NFL draft, I feel like Jameis Williams is going to be a steal wide receiver of the draft. People just wrote him off after he tore his ACL.
He will drop in the draft. He was probably the best wide receiver before he got hurt. That said, he is hurt. He might not play it all next year. So I think he's going to drop into the 20s, and he could potentially be a steal for somebody down there.
I was about to say, it's tough to say for a team that needs immediate impact to say, oh, draft a guy who won't play it all for you this year. And knowing it's not like, hey, you're catching an injury in training camp. This is one where you're going into the season knowing that in all likelihood, you're not going to see him play, if not, but maybe a few games down the stretch.
Right, but who can take a chance like that? A team that's a playoff team.
Yep.
Those are the type of teams that can take a risk like that. You're not going to see the New York Jets take a risk at that at number 10.
No.
But, maybe a team like Green Bay, somebody like that, or Tampa Bay, or maybe the Rams, they could take a risk on somebody like that. I think he'll go in the 20s, early 20s. I really do.
And again, he's an unbelievable wideout. He is the best. One of those guys I'm looking at. I think that could be he's either going to be an unbelievable wideout or he's going to be a bust. Is that Treylon Burks from Arkansas? He's a big.
Yeah.
You see sometimes the big guys, they do one or two things, right? You see a lot of these big guys who are possession wide receivers and guys who are physically dominant in college. When they get to the NFL, when the level of athlete and the caliber of the game is just much higher, they look like a 4A player and they just look like they don't belong. Or they end up where they have just enough speed and just enough physicality to be dominant across the corners in the league. So he's one of those guys. He's one of those prototypical. He either really pans out or I think he busts out of the league type of wideouts.
If you're not really fast and you can't get separation in college,
you don't run unbelievably crisp routes. So, it just depends.
If you're a contested catch guy in college, and it's a good skill to have, but if you can't get separation in the college game, you're not going to get it in the pro game.
He had an unbelievable season in the SEC, right? You play the best defense, you play the best teams week in, week out. And I thought he had a great year. He's a good wideout in college. Be one of those, again, I've got him penciling in as a either really pans out or really busts out of the league. Drew L also says here, I think there's also one running back that's extremely slept on, and I think he's projected a 5th-round pick. Pierre Strong.
I think all running backs is a position, honestly, that you can get diamonds in the rough late.
Think about the 2018 NFL draft class. I think it was how many running backs that, 2nd and 3rd round picks that are unbelievable backs, like your Jonathan Taylor's as 2nd round picks. A lot of great running backs you can get. Yeah, it used to be and that's why it makes drafting Barkley in the 1st round where the Giants did unbelievably stupid. And you look back on it too, you think to yourself, I know that Ezekiel Elliott was fantastic for a short time period and for the Cowboys, but it looks the way running backs are, they'll have a few years when they're young and they've got some tread on the tires where they're dominant. And then, after about 5 or 6 years, in most cases, their games start to tail off. I mean, occasionally get an anomaly like an Adrian Peterson or a guy who can really last a long time in the league, but not always.
The thing about the running back position has totally changed from when I was younger. It was predominantly a running game, with passing sprinkled in. When Bill Walsh came in and utilized the short passing game as a running game. He had Roger Craig back there, who was a fantastic back, but running back was a more important position. So even now when you draft, you don't need to draft a guy in the 1st round, even the 2nd. You can find somebody with a de-emphasis of the running game. As long as you can catch the ball out of the backfield, can block a little bit, and can run off tackle some, I mean, you're going to be okay. Like Jonathan Taylor, right? Think about Jonathan Taylor. Fantastic at Wisconsin. Dropped into the 2nd round. Why? Well, they didn't know if he'd catch the ball, and at the emphasis of the running game in the NFL. He's been a great player for them. He really has.
His rookie season, he struggled big time with the Colts. He fumbled a lot, and people were wondering, hey, does he have all the makeup to be a draft bust? He can't hold on to the ball. He didn't fumble much in college, and now all of a sudden he's fumbling, was it like 4 or 5 times his first year in the NFL? And people were having a preemptive, oh, man, this is not good. This looks like a wasted pick.
But he did pan out.
For sure.
By the end of his rookie year, you see he put it together, and he was fantastic last year. And he was a 2nd round pick.
Yep. I mean, you see running backs, there are a dime a dozen. You could find a really, really talented one late in the draft. For the most part, it's a waste to use a 1st round pick on a running back, in my opinion. The way they're
certainly a high 1st round pick.
Absolutely. Lance Dominguez says here, arm length doesn't mean crap for an offensive tackle. I don't know. It does. So,
I love the Robert Loggia picture that he has there.
There he is. But I mean, it does, right? When you've got defensive ends and they're push pulling or trying to chop your arms, the longer your arms on, the easier it is to get a punch in on them. It does mean a little bit. It puts you at a disadvantage. Nobody's like, I'd rather have shorter arms as an offensive tackle than longer arms. Ask David Bakhtiari. Yeah, for every David Bakhtiari, we can find 10 players who have the shorter arms. It just doesn't work out for. But David Bakhtiari's carved himself out a fantastic NFL career for certain.
That's why you see a lot of offensive tackles in college have to kick inside to guard, because they can't. You don't want the defensive end or the rush linebacker getting into your body. You're at a disadvantage if they get into your body. So
it says the grumpy old man has a nice couch. Grump.
Thanks, Lance.
And then Alexander also saying Frank Gore is another guy that fell. Yeah, I mean, he had those injuries that, Jesus. They didn't even know if
Miami had the injuries.
Multiple injuries.
I mean, Terrell Davis, who's a Hall of Famer. I think he went in the 5th or 6th round to Denver. I mean, you can get running backs. That's the one position where you can catch a diamond in the rough, 4th, 5th, 6th round.
Alexander saying Marino fell in the draft because they thought he was a drug addict, and he said
because he's smoking pot.
Alexander says here, no one besides Miami got better this offseason. Tell me I'm wrong. I don't know, Alexander. It sounds like it's from a Miami Dolphins fan's perspective.
Goodness.
I think some teams definitely got better this offseason.
The problem with Miami is they don't have a quarterback. That's their issue.
It will be the issue. Yeah.
Now they don't have a coach either. They got Gee Whiz, Johnny. It's me, Mike McDaniels.
Well, I'll tell you. So let's see how it goes. Alexander says, question, guys. If Mike Bossy never retired early, do you think Ovechkin would be chasing Bossy and not Gretzky?
No.
Possibly, but maybe not.
No. Gretzky has a lot. Gretzky, how many goals does Gretzky have? 900 something?
That's a lot. He's got, and think about it, he's got more assists than anybody else does have points behind him, but he's got 900 plus goals, I believe it is.
And that Islander team was kind of not fizzling out, but it was certainly on the downside when Bossy retired with the back injury. He was only 30 years old, but still, think about it, he would have had to score another 400 goals to be where Gretzky is. I mean, that's another 8 years at 50. Tough. Gretzky played a long time. People forget how long he played.
Lance D also saying here, Tunzel's very good. Tunzel 2019 and 2020 Pro Bowler. I agree. And then Alexander says, Pro Football Focus is a bunch of clowns. These guys rated Ryan Tannehill higher than Patrick Mahomes.
Who would you rather have? Who would you rather have?
Patrick Mahomes. Here's the thing. It's not always like to like. I do look at, here's the thing. Being an ex-lineman, I could tell you if a guy's good. I like Larry Tunzel. I think he's a hell of an offensive tackle. And then he says, Richmond Webb played until 30.
He was a really good offensive tackle. Really good. Okay, when Larry Tunsil was with Miami, they kicked it to the inside because he couldn't handle it outside start. Couldn't do it.
Okay, so his first year he struggled. Well,
their line blew. When he was in Miami, their line sucked.
Sometimes with offensive linemen, it's really tough if you're a good talent to look fantastic when the guy to the righty or the guy to the lefty struggles. Right. A lot of it is based off of trust that your guy in zone blocking schemes and certain schemes is going to be there when you got slide side protection. And if you even have a doubt that he's not going to be there when you're trying to pass off twists and items like that, it's going to be really tough to be successful. Simple as that.
He wasn't good enough to be an offensive tackle his first couple of years in the league. They had to kick him the inside because he wasn't good enough. I'm just telling you what. My brother is a Dolphins fan and hated Laramie Tunsil.
Uninformed is what it sounds like a bit because he's a fantastic offensive lineman. I take Laramie Tunsil any day on the Giants. Take him any day.
He's good. He's a good offensive lineman. I agree. Okay. He's a good offensive lineman. He's not fantastic. He's good. Okay. He is good.
And did you see the article that no one wants to play for the Jets? I thought it was no, I didn't see any article like that.
I'm going to tell you what. I think that the Jets, we know that they're the Jets, but I think Robert Saleh is a good head coach. And I think they have the potential to be a better team next year. I think they made some good moves in free agency. I think Joe Douglas is the GM. I think the Jets could be successful going forward. Do they turn into the Jets again? It's possible, but I wouldn't dump on them just yet. I like some of the moves they made this offseason.
I'll be very interested to see how they draft this year.
Now, if they
Jets have
draft
made some very questionable draft picks in the past, you don't want to see. They didn't last year. You don't want to see them. They're in prime position really to set themselves up with something nice.
right, like I said, they signed some offensive linemen. They signed a safety, Jerome Whitehead from Tampa, who's on a good deal.
Jordan Whitehead, yeah.
Jordan Whitehead, I'm sorry. I think that was a good deal for them. I think they still need defensive back help, maybe a corner. And I still think I would go offensive line, but they have a lot of holes. But I think Salah turned them into a better team last year. I really do.
Here's the other thing. If Evan Neal's still on the board when they select at 4, I think that's a no-brainer for them. I know Mekhi Becton has had some injury issues there in the past. I think if healthy, he plays well, but Evan Neal is fantastic.
True.
I can't speak. Yeah.
True, I agree.
Yeah, Grumpy. Joel says here, I'll say, TJ, I disagree. The Giants needs, I disagree on the Giants needs being Thibodeau. Personally, in my opinion, I think they need offensive line help. I think they need safety, and Kyle Hamilton and either Cross or that guy from the NC State there would be nice. Here's the thing. I wouldn't mind offensive line help. If you have an immense talent that slips and falls in the draft, select them. That's simple as that. You pick the best player available, and if you've got him high on the board and you think his talent is unbelievable, you got to do that, right, Grumpy?
They're going to go offensive tackle. They're going to go either Neal if he's available or the kid from NC State. I can't pronounce his name. Eventually, I'll be able to do it. I can't pronounce it right now. It'll be either one of those two guys at 5, and then at 7, if he's still available, it will be Hamilton. I think he's really good. He's a kid who could be one of those transcendental safety types.
Here's the thing, though, too. Safeties don't have to be an early pick. Yeah, usually you're looking at, the earliest I'd use a pick on a safety is a late first. It's another one of those positions where you don't want to use an early pick on a safety.
Okay, but you know what? If a kid's transcendental, Derwin James was drafted in the top 5 by San Diego. He transforms their defense when he's in there. Ronnie Lott, Ed Reed, those guys should have been drafted higher than they were. A really good safety, and Robert Saleh runs a system where it would be tailor-made for Kyle Hamilton. I think that's a good fit. I like him as a safety. I agree with you.
Derwin James is 17th overall. Was
Derwin James 7th? I don't think
17th overall. I'm looking at it right now. 17th overall by the Los Angeles Chargers in 2018 draft. You don't piss away a pick that's not late in the first round. Think about it. Derwin James was the best safety on the board. But don't use an early pick like that on a safety. Sorry, just not like we talk about running backs aren't a guy you do that with. And again, Grumpy, his name is Akeem. I'm sorry, Akeem, but he goes by the nickname of Icky. Went there to Providence Day High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's near you, isn't it, Grump?
In Charlotte. Sure is.
Drew L says here, I used to be really high on Traylon Burks, but then figured out some of the scouts before the combine lied about his 40 originally. There's no way in hell he runs that fast at 40. But I think he ran like a 4.5. Here's the thing. At 4.5, if he ran a 4.5, I still wouldn't be upset with that. He's a bigger wideout.
He doesn't look fast to me. On the field, he does not look fast. Jerry Rice ran a terrible 40-yard dash time, but he was fast on the field. When you put him in pads, he was faster than his time speed. Some guys are like that. This kid looks slow. He doesn't look real fast to me. Like I said, I was
5.40 is not great, but here's the thing. It's like
he is big though, but he doesn't look fast on the field, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, what you watching, Grump?
I'm not watching anything.
Alexander's saying here, sorry to bring this up, but apparently Brady only settled to come out of retirement to play for the Bucs again because the deal with the Dolphins fell through.
That wouldn't surprise me. I think he wanted to leverage his way out of Tampa, but he had to do something before the deadline. People forget he met with the Glazers in England at a Manchester United game. And that's when he decided to come back. Maybe he said, hey, I want out of here. They said, hey, you're under contract for another year. This is where you're going to be if you want to play. Then he was back. He has not restructured his deal. That tells me he's going to play for Tampa this year, and he's going to go somewhere else next year.
Gator Country says Barry Sanders was the best ever. Trubisky, I guess. Yeah.
They need
Maybe
a
just a
quarterback.
Mitchell Trubisky fan. Got a comment here from LRK Production saying, bro, I'm going to be honest. Ronaldo would be a nasty wide receiver.
Cristiano Ronaldo this weekend had his 50th hat trick of his career for club. 3 for Manchester United, 3 for Juventus, and 44 for Real Madrid. He also has had 10 for Portugal. Think about that. 60 games where he had 3 goals or more. Incredible.
Gator Country there says here, Frank Gore has Hall of Fame number. Yeah, Frank Gore is number 2 all-time rushing.
But do you think Frank Gore is a Hall of Famer?
Yes.
See,
Mr. Consistency. Mr. Consistency. That's what you need to call him.
But for me, he was never the best back in the league or even top 2 or 3. He was just, he played a long time. I'm not saying he won't get in the Hall of Fame, but when I think of all-time great running backs, Frank Gore is not somebody I think about. Just not.
Okay.
That's a me thing.
For dominance out there, I don't think he was overly dominant at any one time period. I thought he was unbelievably good. He was a really, really good back for a really long time. Unbelievable. I think he's been, right, you put down the consistency. He's been the most consistent running back ever. History of the game. I think he's the most consistent running back in the history of the game, and probably will be the most consistent running back in the history of the game just because of how physical it is on running backs and what they ask him to do today. He was the first guy that was like, hey, unbelievable vision. He was a guy who was one of those, he can catch the ball out of the back.
Man, you're overestimating Frank Gore. I'm sorry.
Right? You look at it, dribs and drabs. During that time period, right, your Marshall Faulks, it wasn't like every running back could catch the ball out of the backfield. Frank Gore, when he first came into the league, was one of those few guys that at the time period was one of those all-purpose backs who could run the football every down and can also catch the ball. Now it's like, hey, this guy's a third down back. Oh, we bring this guy on a passing situation. This guy runs the football in first and second down. They've changed the way that goes.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry.
How many teams have third down specific backs now? That's
the way it is now, though. That's the way it is. The running back position has changed.
Yes.
It's all a passing league now. Frank Gore was a good back. He was a really good back. I'm sorry. He wasn't a transcendental back. He never was. He was a good back. It's just that he played forever and never got hurt. And that's why he put up the numbers he did. Like I said, when you're looking at the top 10 backs of all time, Frank Gore's name is not on there.
Oh, man.
Just not.
I just say Captain Consistency, Mr. Consistency. And that's, he
was above average back. He was an above average back.
Oh, you're freaking absurd.
Okay.
Above average. Holy shit.
You brought up.
Let me ask you this before I let you do that. What's average for you? We found out that average or a good offensive lineman's a Pro Bowl caliber guy. Frank Gore is an above average running back. I mean, what's sufficient for your standards?
Okay. You brought up Lesean McCoy. I think Lesean McCoy was infinitely better than Frank Gore. Absolutely. Le'Veon Bell was phenomenal when he was playing. The one thing Frank Gore had was he was consistent. A lot of these guys didn't last. They took a lot more shots. I mean, Le'Veon Bell was having 300 touches a year, and he was getting pounded. That's why when it's over for those guys, it's over. Adrian Peterson. Those are all backs way better than Le'Veon Bell. Not even close.
You mean all better than Frank Gore, correct?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to put Frank Gore down. He was an above average back, a good back. But I just don't look at him as saying, oh, man, he's transcendental. No, sorry.
Here's the thing. Guy had 16,000 rushing yards. Simple as that.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know what else to say. He had almost 4,000 receiving yards.
How many years did he play? 18 years in the league?
16.
That's a lot of years.
So he played 16 years in the league, and he had 16,000 rushing yards and 3,985 receiving yards. Just to round it up to 4,000, it's 15 yards off, right? 20,000 yards, 20,000 rushing/receiving yards, and a total of 16 years.
Okay.
All purpose over 1,000 yards on average a season, even when he was playing 37, 36, 35, 34, 33 years old as a running back. The guy is unbelievably consistent.
He was good. I said he was good. He was above average back.
He only made it to 5 Pro Bowls. That's above average, I guess. And he only made it.
He's above average back. I like I
So
said,
hold on. Is Pro Bowl, is that just considered?
no, Pro Bowl is not all pro. They're different. Oh, everybody goes to the Pro Bowl.
No, what I'm asking you is to consider to be average, right? Like so again, 5 Pro Bowls is average for a player, an above average player. So what does it take for you to be a good player then? If that's only above average,
He
what does
was
it
a
mean?
good player.
Pro
He was
Bowl?
above
Does
average
he need to
player.
go
He
to
was
the
a good
Pro Bowl
player.
7 or 8 times, and then to be a great player, he's got to be 15 times. How does that barometer work?
I never thought he was a great player. I thought he was a good player, really good, really good. That said, all right, so we averaged what, 1,000 yards a year, and let's say with the maybe 1,200 yards a year, that's what he averaged with running, receiving. That's not a whole lot of yards. I mean, it's the fact that he played so long. He put up Don Sutton won 300 games. He played 20 years in the Major League Baseball. He was never the greatest pitcher. He never won anything.
Drew L saying here, honest, the Sun, it's changing gears because we're going to argue on and on about that. Changing gears. Honest, the Suns are playing like garbage and are still killing the New Orleans Pelicans.
Suns are a good team. Pelicans are not.
Gator Country saying the Dolphins will still suck.
Ooh.
I don't know about that one. Gator. Hey, here's the thing. They're going to be better than they were last year. I still think the quarterback is an issue, but they've got so many weapons around to now to where they should feel confident going forward. I mean, they've got a lot of weapons around him.
We'll see what he does.
Here's the he couldn't be worse than what he Tua wasn't terrible last year, but again, he's a manager, he's a game manager. He's not a guy where I say if I need us to drive down the field because we're down by 6 and we've got 3 minutes left in the end of the game, or let's say 2 minutes left, or a 2-minute warning or 2-minute drill. Do I feel comfortable with Tua as my QB? No, but I feel comfortable having a guy like Waddle out wide, and I feel comfortable with Tyreek Hill out wide and all the weapons they have, but not with Tua.
They're going to have to do some things to scheme those guys, not even necessarily scheme them open, quick hitters, and let them do what they. It's not like he's going to be throwing the ball down the field. He's just not good at it. Doesn't have the arm strength. They've got a lot of team speed now, though. They brought in Raheem Mostert. If he could ever stay healthy, it'll be a good back for them. Their offensive line is still a little iffy for me. If they can improve that in the draft, maybe they get a little bit better there. I think
you look running back too. If you have a guy who slips, I think you look running back for Miami also.
Yeah, they signed a couple of guys as free agents this year. So,
do any of them you think move the needle? I don't.
If Raheem Mostert can stay healthy, he's a really good back. And here's the thing: he's going to be running in the same system that he ran in at San Francisco.
LRK Production says, I feel like the NBA coaches smell like pure ass. I'm not sure what or why. I don't even understand that. I feel fair enough. Alexander
They look
says,
like they stink.
I don't know.
894. That must be goals for Gretzky.
And yeah, 894 goals. Victor T says here the Browns got better and the Chargers got better and the Broncos got better, etc. Yeah, a lot of teams got better. Yeah. And I forgot about Elijah Mitchell as well here. Alexander says, no, not true, Grump. They put Tunzel to guard because they had Brandon Albert, and he was good at guard. The next season, they traded Albert. They moved Tunzel out to left tackle, and he struggled at the beginning of the season, but he got better as the season went along. Yeah. And Gator Country, they're saying Gretzky was invisible. He would appear out of nowhere, past nowhere, and a goal would be scored.
He had great vision. He had great vision and hockey sense.
He found a way to blend in too so easily.
He was a terrible defender. I often say Wayne Gretzky and Mike Bossy never could have played for Barry Trotz. He would have shacked it. It wouldn't have worked here. But that being said, he had tremendous hockey sense. Couldn't skate, couldn't defend, but man, he had vision and hockey sense. The greatest ever.
The comment Alexander saying here, it's like the unicorn line in 2016, and Brandon Albert, Laramie Tunsil, Mike Pouncey, Bushrod, and James. It was a good offensive line. And then Mario's saying, what do you guys think about the comment that Trotz made about Wallstrom having to subjugate his game for the sake of the
See, that's a mistake. See, that's what he wants. And he said that Barzell had done it. He was happy with Barzell's play. He's the only one who's happy with Barzell's play this year. Matt Barzell isn't. Subjugate the game. Then don't draft those guys. Don't draft anyone with skill. Just draft third and fourth liners because that's all he wants. He needs to go. He needs to go. Barry Trotz needs to go. If that's the mentality, he needs to go.
Drew L says, yeah, Burks reminds me of an Adam Thielen more so. I think of how long it took Adam Thielen to catch up. I'm about to say, like, for a guy like that, like, I feel like the Burks has a chance to be like Dwayne Jarrett. Like, you know, you look at a guy. Oh, okay, here's the thing, right? You look at N'Keal Harry's and items like that, right? Some big guys who don't run very crisp routes, who are more contested jump ball guys and, you know, don't have blazing fast speed. Those are guys that sometimes struggle to find their way into the league. They do. It depends on how crisp is the route running.
Yeah, Adam Thielen can run a route.
That's what I say. Maybe he wasn't great when he first started. Adam Thielen wasn't great when he first found his way into the league.
Another guy who's a concern for me is Drake London out of USC. He's another guy, he just, those big, long, striding guys, takes a long time to get started. I just think they're easy to defend.
And think about it like this, too, right? Adam Thielen, the first 2 years in the league, he was a backup guy, right? He only started 2 games. He had 137 receiving yards, 144 receiving yards after that, and that's kind of when he came onto the scene. I mean, he was good for a bit of time, but I mean, I would argue Adam Thielen's kind of on the tail end, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't know how old he is. Got to be closing on 30.
He's 32.
Yeah,
He's
a lot
32.
of injuries. I mean, that's what happens. I mean, you get into your 30s, just not as good anymore.
He didn't have a lot of injuries. He had 2 years where he was injured. 2019 and then a little bit in 2021. But other than that, he's played pretty much every game.
But he's in his 30s now. Those guys, you don't last in your 30s. Just don't.
Yeah. And he's saying here, Gator Country, they're saying the Bucs defense is still elite.
I don't know about that. I hate Bowles said that he's going to be calling the plays. That's a mistake. How'd that work out against the Rams? Covered freaking 0 with 14 seconds left to go. You just come back from 24 points down. All you have to go to overtime, and you know Brady's going to win the game for you. It's probably another Super Bowl after that. And you go a cover 0, and you let Kupp run down the field not once but twice with no timeouts, and you get him into field goal range. That's all on the coach. That was poor play calling.
And then Driel says here, yeah, he's slow, but would be a big red zone target. Yeah. There's so many players that can play as a red zone target for you. You don't need to say, oh, we've got a red zone target wide receiver. Tight ends are your red zone targets. Running the football. I mean, there's so many other spots you can look for that. LRK production saying this year, the Chargers defense will certainly be able to suck the weak stuff and sink deep into the holes from last year. I'm not sure what that means.
I don't know.
And then I hope the stream's not lagging here. Anyway, LRK production also said, my guess is wasn't able to cushion the Lakers this season. I was about to say, LeBron, he's a guy. How old's LeBron now? 37?
36, 37.
He's a guy who's getting up there in age. And you think about it, right? He played well, but my God, Russell Westbrook. He didn't have a great year this year either.
It was a poorly constructed team.
Bad coach. I mean, here's the thing. That's
Again, what did the Lakers do? Bring in a bunch of older players. I'm sorry, it doesn't work.
Carmelo Anthony's. I'm sorry, he's not. You know what I mean? Like, he's not the same Melo of past. Any comments on the disallowed goal in favor of Real Madrid in Champions League?
Real Madrid deserved to win that tie against Chelsea. And here's the thing: the ball absolutely hit his hand. So that's the rule. Ball can't hit your hand. And then you score off it. That is the rule. Cannot touch the ball. That's it. And I'm a Real Madrid guy without a doubt. But that goal had to be disallowed.
Frank Gore was a dominant back, and Mario's saying Frank Gore was a compiler.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's
Grumpy. Stop hating on Frank. He's tough as nails.
Never said he wasn't tough. Never said he wasn't tough. Never said he wasn't good. I just said he wasn't a transcendental back. And when I think of great backs of all time, Frank Gore is not on the list. I would look, I'm like, oh gosh, Frank Gore. Yeah, look at Emmitt Smith was way better than him. Way better. I mean, I can name 20 backs better than Frank Gore. And like I said, Frank Gore was good, but he was never special. Not in my opinion, anyway.
Drew L says Islanders lose 4-2. Gator Country said Tua will fill his helmet with mayo, and now he's tuna. I don't know. Let's see here. Alexander said, yeah, they've got Tariq Armstead and Connor Williams.
Yeah, that's right. That's what Miami picked up. That's a good move.
James F. There's saying tough loss for the Islanders. Grumpy. The Yanks stunk one today too.
Yeah, I mean Nestor had a great game. He pitched a great game while he was in there, and then they just fell apart. The Yankees are another poorly constructed team.
James F. said, Grumpy, who was the first black pitcher in the MLB? I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't think it was Satchel Paige. I really don't know. Don't know. Had to be somebody right in the 50s. I don't think it was Don Newcomb. I know he pitched for those Dodger teams too, but I don't know who it was.
Dan Bankhead. He was the first pitcher to play in a major league game for the Brooklyn Dodgers, and the first black player to hit a home run his first at bat. So let me see, first black pitcher. Oh yeah, so Dan Bankhead.
70. I think it's the 75th anniversary.
1947, by the way.
Okay, I think yesterday or Friday was the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Now, see, to me, Jackie Robinson made the Hall of Fame. He was not a great player. His numbers weren't fantastic, but that's right. That's right. And like I said, I think he only played 9 years in the league. You got to remember, he wasn't 21 years old or, 20, 23 years old. He was like, I think 26 or 27 when he came up. And not because he didn't have talent, but that's where the Dodgers were revolutionary. I mean, they brought in Jackie Robinson, Roy Campanella, Don Newcomb, and a bunch of other players too. I mean, they were the first team to really embrace having black athletes, and it really benefited them.
Absolutely did. Fantastic. What they did.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it. Yeah, it was just wrong, right? I mean, and you can't. I don't rip.
You can't even. It's tough for people to imagine kind of or put yourself in those shoes because it's so far removed. I feel like to what he went through on a game in game out basis is tough to imagine.
And it wasn't until Pee Wee Reese, who was playing shortstop, when Jackie Robinson first came up, he was second baseman, but then he lost range and he wound up playing first. Until he took him under his wing, he was getting tremendous abuse by managers of other teams. Ben Chapman, I think, was manager of Philadelphia Phillies at the time and was just really abusive and nasty to him. And Pee Wee Reese stuck up for him, and that was kind of the turning point. Because you got to remember that racial prejudice. People say everything's bad now. It was way worse back then. I mean, unbelievable what those athletes, what people in general went through.
Yeah.
I mean, just a shame.
And that Drew L says, I have a thing to tell Aaron Boone. Those Yanks surely are freaking savages in the batter's box. Talking about, I guess they're damn good. I tell you, man, the Yankees, it's a home run or nothing. I feel like for so many of those batters, and they're always power, always swinging for power. It's I think what causes them to struggle in the postseason if they get there.
I hate the way the team is constructed. Hate it. Positive, Luis Severino looks like he's maybe back.
How long before he injures himself again?
That's a whole nother question.
Oh my gosh. The Islanders are officially out of the playoffs. Woo! April 17th.
Well, we knew that was coming.
It was inevitable.
You thought they were going to beat Toronto tonight, didn't you?
I thought they could beat Toronto. They didn't.
Nope.
Alexander says, and also the Dolphins might be in on Deebo Samuel.
Okay.
How are they going to make that work?
Why? You got Tyreek Hill. You got Jalen Waddle. Where are you going to fit Samuel? He's not a running back. I know they put him in running back every once in a while. He's not a running back. You see how he was really dinged up at the end of the year.
And then Drew L said, don't forget, Adam Thielen played D3 football, so of course it was going to take him some time to develop. Yeah, I forgot he played down.
Yeah, he was good. Adam Thielen was good. He's not the player he was a couple of years ago, though.
And then Thielen, he had one really good year.
disagree. It was more than one.
And then the Raiders trying to trade back into the first round or a second round pick.
Okay. They say that the draft, you have your first 15, and then from 15 to 50, they're going to be all over the place.
Yep. Absolutely. That's usually how it is. And then what the film's saying here, got seats right behind the Cowboys bench at the Silver Dome. What a treat. Herschel Walker was twice as wide as Tony Dorsett. What a beast.
Man, Herschel Walker in college was unbelievable. Then he played for the New Jersey Generals, and then he wasn't that much. He wasn't that great in the pros. He wasn't as fast. Tony Dorsett, another back. And I hated Dallas, but another back better than Frank Gore.
James F saying, have you guys ever heard of pickleball or a mega ball? I watched it today. Oh yeah, I've heard of pickleball. Pickleball is fun little game to play. LRK Production said, I'm going to create my own football league. I guess who the first sign he's going to be. Come on, guess. Johnny Manziel. Oh God,
I don't even think Johnny's mom would pick him first.
Johnny freaking Manziel. That's a guy where, here's the thing, the talent. He was slippery and elusive, and I think it was more of the rep of Johnny Manziel that got him. He was good. He was good for Texas A&M in college.
He was better than good for Texas A&M. But he was another guy that when you interviewed him and talked to him was a jerk. He had the talent to be picked way higher than he was. I think he was picked 21st overall, but he was a jerk. That's why I'm saying when you interview guys and you see that they just don't get it, you're not going to invest a high round pick. And he busted out, right? Yeah. So that's where taking those evaluations really benefits somebody picking. I mean, that was Cleveland's pick, and Cleveland's a dumpster fire. Even then,
now they've got a legitimate this. Let me ask you this: Deshaun Watson would be the first legitimate quarterback the Cleveland Browns have had since who?
Otto Graham.
Back that far?
Otto Graham? No, Bernie Kosar. Bernie Kosar was a really good quarterback.
Okay, he's better than Bernie Kosar. No.
Yeah. You said
when was Bernie Kosar? When was he with the Browns?
In the 80s.
I was about to say it's been 4 decades.
And
it's
the
the best quarterback the Browns have had in 4 decades of football. I'd say.
Yeah.
Think about how many miserable selections and miserable quarterbacks. I mean, even the Brady. My God, dude, I feel like it's It's like you're reading down like family lineage names of all the quarterbacks they went through and all the quarterbacks that they drafted in the wrong spots and all the wrong selections they've made.
Okay, Dan Marino. Have the Dolphins ever replaced Dan Marino? Nope.
No. Oh well, here's the thing. Dan Marino's a Hall of Famer. So I mean, like a little different.
Okay, but they haven't been a great team since Dan Marino was there.
They've had some okay quarterbacks. They haven't had the guy of a quarterback. I can't remember the last time the Dolphins have had the guy as a quarterback. Probably Dan Marino.
They're still looking to replace Dan Marino. Tua is not the guy.
You're not that guy. And what a film's saying here. And Ed Too Tall Jones was ridiculously huge. Never forget that day.
I remember when he was drafted out of Tennessee State by the Dallas Cowboys. Nobody knew who he was. That was, back in the 1970s. They went really off the board, but he was a really good defensive end for them for a lot of years. I think he was 6'8".
And you guys, did we see the Red Sox uniforms today?
I did not.
Was something unique about the Red Sox uniforms?
I did not see them, so I cannot comment.
Let's try to find it.
Hopefully not those yellow ones that they've worn before.
I'll try to see what it is here in a second. LRK Production says, who do you think carries the most weight in the NFL? And you guys know what I mean. So who's the biggest guy in the NFL? I don't know. It used to be a clear, easy one like Vince Wilfork, even though he was listed as skinny. But honestly, I couldn't tell you that. LRK, there's some big guys there. So I couldn't.
Vita Vea is pretty big.
One of those nose tackles, one of those guys who's a plugger, one of those zero techniques. What is saying here? And there was this young kid carrying Landry's excess wiring for his headset, and he never took his eyes off the boss.
Well, he knew how to keep a job.
And Barzal missed a wide open shot to tie the game. Oof.
He probably said, "Screw you, Barry." I'm going to be here longer than you.
Is that what it was? By the way, what do you guys, is Real asking, by the way, what do you think of Derek Carr's contract? I think he's a decent to good quarterback, and the Raiders overpaid the heck out of him.
$40 million, $40,500,000 a year for 3 years.
Yikes.
I mean, I think he's going to be better with Josh McDaniels as a head coach and with Devontae Adams as a wide receiver, and he's got still a Waller to throw to. And Josh Jacobs is still a good back if he could stay healthy, but not worth that kind of money. I'm sorry, man. Brady, think about what Brady gets paid: $25 million a year.
I think I saw a tweet of how many QBs. There's so many quarterbacks that make more than Tom Brady. It is. But yes, the Red Sox brought back the yellow and blues. I hate that uniform.
I hate them. Just
it has nothing. It has no significance tied to the team's past. What's the point of it?
Stupid. It's just stupid. You're the Red Sox.
I wouldn't mind a bright yellow like that in Oakland, right? Because it kind of matches the color scheme.
Oh, I love those old uniforms, man. The Kelly green and the gold and the white. Oh, I got those. I got a jersey of that upstairs right now.
I hear that Baker Mayfield's going to the Panthers. I've heard something similar to the fact too, but
well,
he's not the answer. Baker Mayfield's not the answer. Sorry, you talking the guy. He's not the guy.
Robbie Anderson doesn't think so.
What did Robbie Anderson say?
No, you know what, Robbie Anderson.
He tweeted that, or he put that as an Instagram message.
Robbie Anderson is a shitty wide receiver.
Oh, stop!
He's another stat stuffer. I don't like Robbie Anderson. Here's the thing. I'd say Robbie Anderson. I'd say Robbie Anderson. Shut up. You're not in player personnel. Maybe you should catch some passes. Maybe you should stop dropping every ball it's thrown. He was miserable last year. Absolutely miserable.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like you selected Robbie Anderson in your fantasy team last year, and your ass hurt about it.
I never picked him on my fantasy team because he sucks.
Oh,
he absolutely sucks.
He had no QB to throw him the football.
He sucked with the Jets, and he was even worse with Carolina last year. He was terrible. Terrible. There was a game where he dropped 6 passes right in his hands. Terrible.
Okay, cool. What are films they're saying? Quincy Carter kind of blew it.
Wow.
He could have been good.
No, he couldn't have. He was not good.
Do you guys reside in New York? No, we do not. And if so, you want to take a trip to the Cyclone together? We do not, unfortunately. LRK Productions.
Is the Cyclone is that ride still open?
And they would find a way to get Samuel involved with Waddle, Samuel, and Hill. I mean, there's only so much football to go around.
And
that's all I'm going to say. Only so much.
Down the field. You got a quarterback who can't throw the ball down the field.
Come on, Marino was a bust. He didn't spin the laces out. Yeah, that's right.
We saw it in Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. He knew.
Oh my gosh!
Laces out, Dan.
Grump's gonna make a Grump. TJ, watch the Tua ball out and make the Pro Bowl.
Okay. Mac Jones made the Pro Bowl this year.
Who?
Mac Jones, the quarterback of the Patriots, made the Pro Bowl this year because guys back out and they count that as making the Pro Bowl. He was like a 4th string quarterback at the Pro Bowl because no one else wanted to go. Pro Bowl doesn't mean shit. All pro matters. Pro Bowl, no.
Joseph C says this is a common topic of discussion on Undisputed, and I hate Skip Bayless, but who would you guys think is better, Jordan or LeBron, and where does LeBron rank all time?
I used to think LeBron, but it's Jordan.
I was about to say, I was a guy who used to be LeBron all the way, and I still think LeBron, for what I think he was more versatile than Jordan was. I do believe that.
As a winner, Jordan. Who wanted the shot at the last minute? Jordan. LeBron defers all the time in the big moments.
All I'm going to say is the league was way different then than it is now.
Jordan. Sorry. You never saw Jordan play. I'm going to tell you what.
You never saw Jordan play.
There's a lot of other players I'd take over LeBron. And here's the thing. I'm not saying physically gifted. LeBron, probably the most gifted athlete who's ever played at 6'8". But, I mean, Magic Johnson, 6'9". He ran the show. Larry Bird.
That's it. I don't even know.
In a big game, who do I want?
LeBron.
It's not LeBron. It's absolutely not LeBron.
In a big moment, it's different. In a clutch moment at the end, that's different. In a big game, LeBron plays well in big games. That's bullshit. Come on.
There's other guys.
Just, it's too late. It's too late for us to get enticed in this conversation because we're right around 2 hours. We won't get enticed in this because we still have a few fan fights to look through. LRK said, you know how people say jumping and falling from an elevator won't help at all? Who went out and tested that and says, and don't say science because it's fraudulent. I think they were able to look. Powerful Sigma male proves something. I don't even know what that means. LRK. It's like you're speaking another language to me. He said Grumpy ain't taking nothing from no one. Race me. What the hell does that mean? I'm not sure what that means. James F saying here, that's the going rate for signing quarterbacks. Wait until the new quarterback group is up to get their contracts. Yeah.
What's Kyler Murray going to get?
I think the Red Sox uniformers are people in Ukraine. Well, why would they wait until this time?
They've worn that before, though. They've worn that jersey before.
They wore it in 2021 in September, but I'm like, why would they wait until now? I wouldn't know where worn it earlier. Technically, I guess maybe it's their first home game. So who knows? Because I was about to say we're about a full week, a week and a half into the MLB. So yeah. Mac Jones sucks. He does. I think Mac Jones is a guy who's, maybe going to be at best, he'll be a little above a game manager as a QB, but he's still, you look at a guy who's got a very, very high floor and his ceiling, I don't think is very high. That's a guy like Mac Jones. I think it's similar to Tua.
Yeah, I agree.
Tua is going to have 4,000 yards, 34 touchdowns and 7 interceptions.
Alexander.
Maybe he'll have a whole bunch of yards because they're all going to be yards after the catch.
Well, now that's possible because I think they're gonna have a scheme where they get Hill and Waddle the ball in space, and that's perfect.
Here's the thing too: it's like when Cam Newton was the QBing or quarterbacking Christian McCaffrey. Like, oh, okay, terrific. He just threw for a 70-yard touchdown pass, but no, in reality, he just dumped it off to the side and the running back did all the work. So, sometimes it's always interesting to look at that, how many yak yards quarterbacks have or how many, is that accounted for? I understand your guys' takes on Tua, but understand this, the kid's a winner. I think he's a good kid. I don't know, if he's a winner or not.
I've heard some things about him that I'll tell Alexander offline somewhere where I'll just – maybe his true self is not the public persona. I'll just say it that way.
Well, fair enough. Drew L said, I once played with the flu basketball from a high school team at one point, and after I played that game, I had way more respect for Jordan after this flu game.
He was a winner.
Yeah. And then
there's certain guys in sports that are true winners. They make other players around them, they're winners. I'll just say it to you that way.
LRK saying, I got a pack of Capri Sun on the line, and I'm ready, and I'm ready for it. The winner is crowned a cutie patootie. I have no idea. He's got to be trolling us right now. TJ, where's the Mickey Mouse shirt? I wore it yesterday. I noticed my wife's, I got a hole in my damn shirt's armpit already. So I'm like, damn it. I might have to turn that into a cutoff shirt like they do have in the Outsiders. So
like Emilio Estevez, yes.
Like Emilio Estevez. So we do have after this, we've got a little bit of a fan fight segment. So one of them, now these are two that I had saw on Instagram. So it's gonna be a little different when I pull this up. So the first one is that of a bull. I think they were bull racing or something like that. And
it looks like maybe this is
running of the bulls.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Oh my goodness.
Dude, I need to talk about solid. Go!
What the hell is he doing? What are you doing? Maybe it's like the running of the bulls.
It's like a QB in the pocket who's turning.
Hey, you know what? This is what Don Cherry says is don't get caught crossing the trolley tracks. Got to keep your head up. This guy, he staggered away, turned his back on the other bull. Boom, and he got destroyed.
Well, he's looking at the bull that's right in his face. This is honestly what it's like. I feel like when you're on 0-16 or an 0-17 football team and your offensive line is miserable, the guy starts trying to find his way out of the pocket. And as he's spinning and he's going to, trying to elude out of the pocket there because he's got pressure right in his face and he's going to the blind side, the left tackle, he gets absolutely destroyed and hit. I mean, you talk about a form hit. Boom. And that's right to the chest.
You know what that looked like? That looked like Brandon Cooks in the Patriots Super Bowl against Philadelphia. He did not return in that game. He did a little spin around and got destroyed.
Here-
I think it was Malcolm Jenkins. I don't know who the hell it was. Just I'm like, man, what the hell are you doing? Just go down.
Here's
Look
the
at him.
weird
You
thing,
just
too.
this kid is just floating around out there. What the hell are you looking at? You don't look at what's already gone. Oh, and then they all start beating the shit out of him on the ground.
I don't know about that. Grumpy.
Oh, that kid was in trouble. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah, you might want to. He's definitely going to have, you worry about like, hey, busting a few ribs.
Boom.
Oh, man, you talk about that contact, man. There might be a few broken ribs there, like a bruised stern. Oh, jeez.
I'm going to tell you what, though. I'm going to tell you what.
Tattooed him.
I don't know what the rest of his teammates there climbing up, but they weren't good teammates. If they were in the NHL, that's a clean hit, honestly. But everyone should have jumped on that bull. I didn't see anybody jumping in to separate that bull from their teammate. Try to fight him. I didn't see that at all.
I'll be honest with you. If I just saw my friend, God almighty, if I just saw my friend get decked like that, I'm like, holy shit, buddy. I'll go down there and help you out once maybe this guy subsides or goes away. But I've seen this bull right here. He's on a warpath.
Boom! He got knocked 5 foot.
Christ almighty. And there's one more fan fight. That's going to be a good one. Well, hold on. He said, that's a girl? ? I don't know. LRK Productions says, hey, Grumpy, I know some people don't want to hear you angry, but you don't want to see me angry, and I'm serious about this race. I'll destroy you. TJ will be like a person at the Indy 500 at the top booth watching. I'll come down with a checkered flag. I guess, Grumpy, you're going to be in a race, Grumpy. How are you going to start training for this race?
Probably have a couple of soda pops.
So
just relax it up.
Oh man, that's gonna get you flying.
You're like one of those go deep, and then just turn around.
Can the bull play offensive tackle for my Raiders? Oh man,
I tell you what, that's
rolling and laughing out loud.
I mean, that's a good block right there. Hit him right in the chest. Finished his block.
Can you imagine this? Joseph C said, could you imagine the Giants at one point had Vince Lombardi as their offensive line coordinator and Tom Landry as their defensive coordinator and didn't hire either of them as head coach?
Jim Lee Howell was the head coach, and then they gave it to Allie Sherman. Ugh.
Jesus. Alexander says the purple drink will give you the extra boost of speed that you need, Grump.
Here it is.
Oh my gosh. Now this last one here, you talk about a fan fight. It's kind of scary to watch. Hold on. So what happened is the AAU tournament is just ending and it got a little wild. Let me put you like that. So let me remove so you're able to see the whole thing.
Can you make it bigger?
Grumpy, if I try to make it bigger, it doesn't actually can't make it bigger. Sorry. Okay. So this is an AAU tournament. They look young, maybe like middle school kids, young kids like that, maybe like freshmen in high school.
Okay.
What?
Just run the whole thing first before.
Don't trust me. It's not long, but I'll let you watch it. So the team looks unhappy. And they're confronting the referee. Oh my gosh.
Jesus.
They're chasing this ref down and trying to punch him and beat him up. Oh, the ref
threw them down.
And then the ref just starts
almost. The rest of them seem like they got him.
I was about to say, I'm like, why the hell did you not get the video of that earlier? You're filming it through the God.
Look at this. Where's the other ref? He's just walking away.
The other ref is like, please don't get me killed. Jesus. You could tell this guy here is the adult of the group. He looks the older of them, and this kid maybe looks younger. He's trying to say, oh, what's going on? He's trying to hold them back. He seems the more level-headed. Red shirt, but everybody else, the kids, my God, you can't go beating up on a freaking ref, man. Oh, he dropped that one kid and then dropped the other coach, and then the kids just swarm on him. It's like 1 against freaking 9.
I bet he wished. I bet you know what? I bet he.
Look at that! Look at him. He just let me get the hell out of here. He's just like, what the hell is going on?
It's just wrong. I'm sorry.
We talked about
he had one of those. I bet he wishes he had one of those assault rifles when they were coming at him.
No. Here's the thing, right? We talk about the fun fan fights and the ones that are not fun to watch. This is one that's not fun to watch. Oof.
Yeah, it's like,
he's just come on, 1 against like 8 or 9. And this guy, I mean, the ref was he was throwing hands here, Grumpy. He was holding his own. I mean, think about how many guys are coming at him. He's over here like, please, I'm getting rushed over here. My God. The other ref is just like, I'm walking away from that one.
Yeah, why is he not getting in there? Why are there not adults trying to separate these?
Well, no,
these
it's everybody.
animals?
Okay, no, stop. It's everybody's up. Everybody's up on the state. Everybody's up here, up top, Grumpy. Do you not see how everybody's up top and on the bottom is where the players are playing and coaches are?
Okay,
There's
there
no
are other
fans
adults
down
out there. There are other coaches out there. There's the other official out there. I mean, there's another game going on. There's another game. There's another game going on the court.
I know, but here's the thing, right? I think they did. I don't want. Oh my Jesus Christ!
I mean, I'm sorry.
He's getting pummeled. Well, here's the thing: every single one of those kids, I'm sure, get charged, and the coach. Jesus Christ! As coaches, your job is when emotions run high. It's a little bit more. I'm not saying it's understandable for kids to gang up on somebody like that and start beating up a ref, but the kids, right? It's much more emotional about the game and the outcome. As an adult and as a coach, you're supposed to be the level-headed individual because guess what? It's not like, hey, let's go ahead and it's not like they just determine it all at once. Let's just bum rush him without talking about it. They're like, we're going to beat the hell out of this guy. It's a uniform attack. It's everybody's coming and confronting him at the end of the game.
Okay.
Right?
Here's the punishment. That team is no longer allowed to play in the AAU tournament. Sorry. You're disbanded. You will not play. We got all the names of these kids. You're not in the AAU anymore. You cannot assault referees because you don't like the result of the game.
Yeah.
Period.
You can't do that. Yeah. But here's the thing, right? The kids that didn't, and I feel bad. Oh, here's the thing. The kids of the team that didn't throw any punches, you shouldn't be lumped together with that. My God, Jesus. So not a fun fan fight. If somebody has a fun fan fight where it's two drunken idiots beating the hell out of each other, at least that one's fun. That one was not.
That was
not a fun one. Oh man. Alexander said he sent one here. Oh shit, I forgot about this one. Here we go. This is one from earlier. Now this, I will paint the background before I give the story. So what, Grumpy?
And can we watch the whole thing without you stopping it?
I will tell you the background of the story, and I want to ask you if he's justified or not. So the person who's reporting on said, I was a couple rolls away, and I watched the whole thing happen. The guy in the Tavares jersey and his girlfriend in the black and yellow jersey were trying to leave the row, and the big guy wasn't moving. The girl started yelling at him to move, and he didn't move for like 1 or 2 minutes. When he did move, the girl walked past him, and she yelled in his face and gave him the middle finger very close to his face, and the girl slapped, and he said, in quotations, pretty lightly, the big guy on the face. The big guy immediately started to hit the girl in the face with his whole arm and then tackled them both to the ground. People intervened, pulling him off Tavares jersey, and then pulling him off, talking about the guy who tackled the girlfriend. People pulled him off and pulled him off of them, and he fell backwards before the girl's boyfriend, Tavares jersey, jumped on him and started feeding him punches. So where we're picking this up is he wasn't moving. The girl flipped him off, then slapped him in the face pretty lightly. Then the guy punched this girl in the face and tackled her to the ground. And what we're seeing now is her boyfriend confronting the guy who punched the girl in the face and tackled her to the ground. So this is where we're picking items up on Grumpy. Hold on. Let me make sure we're back here. Jesus Christ. Okay, let me remove there's the you see the girlfriend who's on her ass
again. It's the woman who running her freaking mouth starts the problem.
Hey, you shouldn't tackle the girl and beat her up.
Okay, so you're gonna let her give you the finger, spit at you, slap you in the face, and you let her go.
Not spit at you. A light.
You know what? He should have given her a pile driver right there on the.
Do you remember what I said? 12 hits, 12 punches, 12 punches, 12 before you can hit a lady back.
Shut your mouth. What did Cam Newton say? Women need to know when to shut their mouth. What's the Cam Newton? Let's see what he does about this.
Cam Newton would have probably jumped.
Women need to know their place. That's what Cam Newton
probably would have punched her down too. But anyway, this is what we're picking up. John Tavares over here is facing off against Mr. Old Man. Oh my God.
He's wearing glasses too. You're never supposed to hit a guy with glasses.
Oh my God! And the girl in the black and yellow, her girlfriend is still trying to swing at him down there as he's on the ground.
Like I said, those animals ought to be arrested. You know what? I would have said, shut your mouth, bitch. Stop getting involved. Just shut your mouth, or I'm going to knock you out.
Oh, he's up again. He got pummeled, man.
He
got
took 2
pummeled.
punches. Here's the thing. He was
2
down on the ground.
punches,
Here's the thing. Tavares, I'm going to tell you what. Tavares boy, by the telling of that story, is an absolute pussy, first of all, because he wouldn't man up to talk to that guy. It wasn't until he was down on the ground and he threw punches. He's an absolute pussy, just like John Tavares. And his girlfriend is Becky bitch tits. I'm sick and tired of the two of them. I would love to see a WWE, see that guy pile drive them on the concrete floor. That's what they need, the both of them.
Okay. Are you assimilating with the old guy, Grumpy? Because you see
Absolutely.
you wear.
Absolutely.
Are you old?
He cheap shotted the old guy. He cheap shotted that guy. He cheap shotted him. He was down on the ground. Like I said, just based on what the story was, he wasn't man enough to say anything to this guy. His bitch slapped him in the face.
That's a derogatory term. Don't use that.
I don't care. But here's the thing, right? She started it, running her mouth, started, give him the finger, slapped him on the face, and we're just supposed to let that go. The cowardly lion who was in the back, Tavares, he wasn't man enough. He waited till he was down on the ground in a prone position, leaning back down. Then he starts hitting with punches and talking tough. That guy should be met out in the parking lot with a baseball bat. That's what should happen.
Both of them are going to be, I'm sure, charged with assault, and both of them should be.
Good.
Well, no, here's the thing. The old guy assaulted the lady too.
I don't know. I didn't see that.
I wish we could have seen the whole video unfold. All we get to see is the guy who has found a way, stumbled on the ground, and then starts getting pummeled by this guy as his girlfriend.
That's the only thing I saw.
Anyway, getting back to the rest of the clip here.
You're not a fighter. That's obvious. You're a bitch. Damn right, son. You're going to jail.
Yeah, he's going. he's going to the sin bin. He's going to go to jail. That's right. What the fuck is she still? This is his girlfriend.
You know what, skank? Why don't you get some pants that don't have holes in them? She's a freaking pig.
No, she's not.
She absolutely is.
Hold on.
Absolutely. She's blowing all those guys in that row.
Oh, stop.
Yes, skank. That's assault. That's flat out assault.
That is assault, and he should
flat
be
out assault.
That.
They ought to execute that kid. Execute him.
Oh, is that what they should do, Grumpy?
Give him the guillotine.
Look, I do like the comments where it's just like, enjoy the assault charge, guy in blue. I mean, it's just plain and tried and true. That's definitely an assault. He's going to catch an assault charge, and he should.
Good.
I mean, come on.
Good. Here's the thing. You don't see me whenever I go to an event. First of all, you don't see me getting drunk ass like that. Number one, you don't see me fighting anyone. Why would I fight someone? I'm a lover, not a fighter. It's just stupid. People think it's cool to throw hands. Good. You know what? Cut your hands off. You won't be throwing those hands anymore. Ridiculous. You're not a fighter. Yeah, I know. You let your girlfriend talk shit to somebody because you didn't have the balls to. Okay, that's the truth. And now you got him on his back, going backwards. Not even like flat on the back, going backwards. Now you're gonna throw punches at him and talk shit. Freaking.
I think the comment winner here is by Rary Gobberts, who says, "I guess somebody in the Leafs jersey can actually win a round now." Go! Leafs haven't won a playoff round in 17 years. So
I tell you what, I'm definitely rooting against Toronto this year in the playoffs, and I'm going to say it's because of that kid.
It may have been a Toronto on Toronto crime, though. May have been Toronto fan on Toronto fan. Who the hell knows? But Jesus, man. As Ruel said, I just realized, doesn't Sorokin have the same save percentage as Varlamov's career season? Meanwhile, Varlamov had the Avengers as his defense.
Yeah, well, because he's better. He's just better.
Thoughts on DiGiorno? Who doesn't love some DiGiorno pizza? You're making me want to eat some pizza right now.
I don't like I like other pizza better than DiGiorno.
Really? I like DiGiorno. It's not bad. And damn you, ref. You cost us. I hate you. Beating the hell out of my God. So those are two, right? At least sometimes it's like mutually that people are like mutually combating and are like mutual combatants where they're like,
a referee.
I'm saying both of the fights today were not that. Usually the fan fights are mutual people who are like fighting and duking it out, and they're like, hey, we're gonna fight each other. This one was a referee trying to escape people being assaulted at an AAU game, and this is the guy who's on the ground getting slammed in the face because he allegedly touched his girlfriend. Who the hell knows what it was? The girlfriend didn't. She was on the ground, but who knows how severe? Because
you know what? This is what happened. She was banging everybody else in that row, and she wouldn't give it to this guy. That's probably what happened. He's like, "Where's mine?"
And the Luddite said, yeah. Oh, come on, stop. Drew L said, yeah, just another day in an AAU tournament. And that when I looked that up, because I was trying to find out on Twitter, I had noticed there's a lot of AAU teams that fight and beat the hell out of refs. I'm like, holy crap. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter. Some are like girl AAU teams that are beating the hell out of refs, or it's like parents come down and start pummeling them. I'm like, my God, I'm like, how crazy these AAU tournaments get?
I'm sorry. You can't throw punches at people. What's
No,
wrong with you?
absolutely.
What's wrong with you people? Stop throwing punches at referees or guys who are laying on their backs.
I was about to say, they go there and get paid fucking little to no money to come and do something that's a little side job that they have, and they feel like, okay, at least I'm doing something with the sport that I love, right? They may not be good at it, but Jesus Christ, it's a freaking game.
$60 a game, $80 a game.
I was about to say, they're not freaking reeling in big money. They're doing this because it's like, okay, I do it on the weekend. It's like my little side job. I work all Saturday and Sunday on these AAU tournaments, and this is my entire week.
Let's say the guy made a mistake and cost a team of, I don't know, 11 and 14-year-olds an AAU game. Really?
You're not going to the freaking league, brother. Calm down. You're not playing in the NBA.
None of you are going to the league. None of you.
I was about to say, they could tell by the way they were playing, right? I would say that those kids, like, I feel like the ones that are going to the league are playing in these crazy tournaments to where it's like, you know, these crazy venues. It didn't look like a crazy big venue. Drill said, TJ and Grump, if you thought the AAU fight was bad, you should watch Tristan Jass rec league game fight, bro. One of the teammates literally got drop kicked and punched in the back of the head. My God.
I don't get it.
He got a damn near concussion from, I bet.
I don't
LRK Production says, yo, Grump, you would crush those kids. You and me, Sean Hobbs, any other duo has never that's ever existed.
Fast and Furious 45.
There it is. And thanks for the fights. I'm glad I'm not in them. Yeah, every single time I watch these, I'm just like, it should be like a reminder. I'm like, anytime it starts heating up, there's no reason ever to throw punches, de-escalate, because it never ends well. It never ends well for at least one, if not multiple people involved.
Yeah. The only guy who came out unscathed was the infamous Corona Boy.
Corona Boy.
He's still my pugilistic hero is Corona Boy. I'm sorry.
And then Becky bitch tits Alexander laughing his ass off. And I mean, the craziest fight story, I was in a fight, was involved with a YMCA like 7 or 8 years ago. I walked into the gym and see nothing but these two guys fighting, and then one guy got slammed. My God.
Over what? I cannot imagine getting into something so heated that I want to get into a physical
altercation,
confrontation with somebody over words. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Maybe there's other things.
Yeah, I'm a retard. Yeah, you got me. Yeah, it's really going to hurt and sting deep. Oh, yeah, I suck at this. Okay, fantastic. I don't care. James F. says here, the first problem is he's wearing a Tavares jersey. Yeah, he was a pussy just like Tavares. Well said. And who is this guy? Sent it for you. Sent you more for next time. We'll look at it there. But, yeah, I was about to say, my God, he was like literally on the ground. And I mean, Jesus, they were pummeling him. And look at the comments, like this guy, and they're like highlighting people. This person and this person didn't do anything to pull off the guy who was assaulting this old man. I'm like, yeah. Trust me, this is not the first fan fight we've watched. It seems like a lot of times when these fan fights happen, even the people who are paid to break shit up don't do anything. They just usually wait for everything to die down. And once the fisticuffs stop, then they say, all right, we're separating you, calm the situation down, make sure nothing else doesn't continue to get exacerbated, and you're both going to be arrested.
True.
And then he didn't want a piece of her, and she took no offense to it. Oh, good gracious. And she took offense to it, is what Alexander is saying. And James F. said the ref should have walked in and said, you touch, I call a cop. Your team is banned from playing, and I press charges. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's what I think. That team should be banned. That coach should never be allowed to coach again. Give him a 5-year suspension. All those kids, you're tossed out of the AAU program. That's how you stop it. You make the penalty so severe that they don't push the line. That's what you have to make the penalty so severe that's like, that's it. I'm not doing it.
What a film's saying here. He says he's not a fighter, yet yelling he's going to kill him. Yeah. My God. Jesus Christ. People are addicted to violence. Gator Country says, yeah. Usually they're better when it's like two drunk individuals just throwing punches in a parking lot. Those are the good ones. Or where it's like two drunk fans at an MLB game and there's so many empty seats that they have so much room just to beat the living crap out of each other. Those are the good ones. A lot of times, my God, it starts over something so small. It's always something so small. There's always alcohol involved. There's always something so small. Always somebody hammered drunk for the most part. But yeah, Drill says, and the refs that work at the Adidas Gauntlet and the Nike EYBL and Under Armour Classic get paid way more than just
yes.
ref.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And who wins in a fight, Malkin or LeBron James? LeBron James, right?
Hey, LeBron James got what? What's he got? About 6
7
inches on
reach on him, 7 inches of reach on him, 6
well, I'll bet she's got more reach than that, but he's 6 inches taller.
LeBron's a much bigger guy too than Malcolm.
Big.
Malcolm's skinny-ish. So yeah.
Here's the thing, you don't think LeBron is big because he's standing around with a whole bunch of big guys.
Standing around guys that are 7 foot tall, and you're like, holy crap, he's a monster.
I often tell the story of Muhammad Ali, right? Where I watched him fight for years, and then when I met him in person, like, he's freaking huge. I mean, he was 6'4", and he had put on some weight because he was older, but still, I was like, damn. I remember how fast he was. You never thought he was big like that. He was huge. I was impressed with his size. I mean, just like, holy crap.
Alexander saying, typical Maple Leafs fan.
Typical Maple Leafs fan.
For certain it is. Well, we're here going to wrap the show up today. For those of you who are new to the show, welcome. We invite you to stick around a while. We invite you to subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and follow on Twitter. If you enjoyed the content today, make sure you leave a like also on the YouTube page. Lets us know you enjoy what we do. We go live every Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This year for the NFL Draft, on Thursday, we'll be covering that live. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on any of the action. But Grumpy, is there anything you want to say before we wrap things up today?
I just want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Grumpy, and we'll see you guys here this Thursday. Have a great week.